Welcome, pickleball players. This is Brett Noel with Coachable Pickleball. Welcome to the Pickleball Summit. This is day one of a 3-day event. I wanted to share with you, before we get started, some of the dynamic speakers that we have scheduled for you for these next 3 days. Our first speaker today, which we're going to be talking to shortly, Kyle Yates, one of the top professional players in the sports of pickleball, is going to be talking about turning your third shot drop into a weapon. Then we're going to go to Stephanie Lynn, who is going to talk about the COVID-19 mask that she's preparing and has manufactured to help keep us safe on and off the courts. We're going to be talking to Gearbox about some of their dynamic paddles. Karen Noel from Your Everything Pickleball Store is going to be talking about sportswear, comfort wear, clothing, her clothing apparel line. I'm excited to have Dane Gingrich on the line with us today. He's going to be talking about belief before evidence, the ability to mentally raise your bar of belief before you're physically ready to execute that vision. A lot of valuable information coming from that discussion. Dave from VitaFlow Sport is going to be talking about CBD for recovery and wellness. And if you're a pickleball player like myself, you have the aches and pains, and we need the recovery. So we'll talk about that. Lucy Kitcher is going to be talking about poaching, when to poach, and the benefits of poaching. And then Mark Pfeiffer, everyone wants to be a referee. They just don't know it yet. And we're going to be talking about the benefits of why you want to become a referee and how being a referee can actually improve your pickleball game. Day two, we start off with Morgan Evans, top player, top coach. He's going to be talking about the game within the game, how to accelerate your development by adding more challenges within pickleball. Steve Taylor from Digital Spatula is going to be talking about media in the pickleball world. And then we all know and love Nicole Hobson from PPR, Professional Pickleball Registry. Why you want to become a certified PPR professional if you're doing any type of coaching. Terry and Matt is going to be talking about safety eyewear. DJ Howard is going to be talking about stretching and specific stretching techniques for pickleball players, and we all need that, especially if you're like me that just does not like to stretch. We need to do that in order to prevent injury. Mike Hoxie, who is one of the top tournament directors here on the West Coast, is going to be talking about his tournaments and how to actually put together a great pickleball tournament. Scott Golden, the art of the Ernie. If you don't know what an Ernie is, this is one live recording, your live event. We're going to talk to Scott about an Ernie. Coach Maddie Klein is going to be talking about slowing the game down from the baseline and how to get to the non-volley zone without peril, without getting killed. And then on day two, we close with Cassandra Gerke, a professional pickleball player. She's going to kind of share with you her journey in regards to going from a new player to become a professional pickleball player, her mindset, her nutrition, and some really great tips for you. Day three, we start with the famous Mark Renaissance from, he's going to be talking about training with intelligence, how small things can make a difference when it comes to practicing. Dr. Greg, recovery modalities after pickleball and exercise. Joe Frasca, neural pickleball. That's a neuroscience of pickleball. You're going to definitely want to tap into that. Laura Fenton, Olympian, top professional female pickleball player. She's going to be talking about who's got it, covering the court through geometry. A great topic. Steve Dawson from Pro Kennex Paddles is going to be talking with us. Janice Mundy from Picklebilly is going to share with us pickleball players, especially traveling pickleball players, how to get free hosting. So you're going to make sure you set time aside for that. Michelle Esquivel. We love Michelle. She's going to be talking about her CAP philosophy in regards to pickleball and what CAP means. We're going to let you wait to have her explain that to you. Paul Olson is going to be talking about the younger demographic coming into pickleball. And then Scott Moore is going to be with us as a guest, and he's going to has an exciting topic we're going to discuss. So we're excited for these next 3 days. Thank you for joining us. I want to first thank our sponsors. VitaFlow Sport is part of the group that made this happen. Coachable Pickleball and Digital Spatula. So we want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank you as pickleball players to be part of this. I know we're all going through this pandemic. We're all hunkered down, waiting for it to get better, and we're all looking forward to getting back on the court. So we look forward to seeing everyone on the courts. Our first speaker today, I'm really excited to talk with you, is Kyle Yates. So if we can bring Kyle Yates on, I'm looking forward to Kyle. I want to mention when I see Kyle, the last time that I saw Kyle was at a PPA tournament in Arizona, and I was actually the referee for his game. So I want to see if he remembers me refereeing. I didn't call him on any foot faults or anything. He didn't make any mistakes. So we're just going to wait for Kyle to come up. And I think Kyle is coming in from Florida. And let me see if I can get him on the line. Okay. We also, one of the things I wanted to mention is we got a lot of giveaways in the next 3 days. We're giving away paddles. We're giving away eyewear protection. We're giving away masks. So we're just going to wait for Kyle to get on. It should be any moment now. Also wanted to mention too is you're going to have as a being live on our live speakers, you're going to be able to ask questions. So whether I'm talking to Kyle or I'm talking to Michelle or Laura Fenton or Dane Gingrich, if it's a live conversation and you have some questions, put in your questions in there. I've got a little computer to my left that I can read some of the questions, and hopefully we can get those answered. We've got a lot of giveaways that we're going to give away today as well. So right now we are trying to get Kyle on the line. And right now, right now I'm in Bend, Oregon. So if you are online, do a little shout out. Let me know where you're from, where you're listening to this live recording from. Some places have a lot of pickleball courts that are available to play. If you're like me out here on the West Coast, Oregon, I'm originally from California, Paso Robles, if you know where that is, wine country, beautiful wine country. They've actually locked down a lot of the courts. I was down in recently down in the desert, Palm Springs, La Quinta, where they have the national tournament. Not only did they lock the courts, but they took the nets down. So did they take the nets down in your area where you're at? Out here in Oregon, I see they didn't take the nets as much as they just locked everything down. So we are looking forward to getting back on the courts. I'm staying at a friend of mine's house, Petra Vernon. And what we did is we converted her garage into a little small pickleball court. I went down to Lowe's and picked up a little net, those little plastic nets like they use for fencing, and just taped it against the wall and just trying to practice the dinks and mid-court strategies. And hopefully the timing will come back when we're able to get back on the court. So we'll see how we do. So if you're online with us now, share with us what you're doing to practice. What techniques are you doing to practice your pickleball? Are you hitting it against the garage? I know a friend of mine up in Washington, they're actually in the middle of the street. They chalked off a court. They're putting a net in the middle of the court, and they're practicing some of their cross-court dinks and stuff like that. So let us know what you're doing in regards to, I'm getting a text. Let's see what's going on. Here's on one more. Sure, you see this. Sure. Bear with me. It's not her. Family doesn't know. Just check on it tonight. Get yourself tonight. Thanks. I don't know what that
Hey,
is.
Brett, how you doing?
Hey, oh, welcome, Kyle. It's good to see you. I need one of those. I'm glad you made it. Well, welcome.
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
We are doing great. How you doing out there? How's the weather?
It's warm here in Florida, but I haven't been on a pickleball court in 2 weeks.
Oh my God. Now, I was just sharing with the audience, you probably don't remember, but I remember. The last time that I saw you, we were in Arizona. You're at the PPA tournament. I was the referee. You were playing singles. Your back was you were in so much pain. Your back was out, and you're playing against a tough competitor, a really good player, and without the back issue, and you persevered through that. I don't know if you remember that match.
I gave it my best shot.
You won the match though. That particular match that I refereed.
I grinded a couple wins that day, but it was brutal.
You did. Well, fantastic. So today we have the pleasure. We're going to talk. Your talk is about turning your third shot into a weapon. I love that. So let me just start off and ask you, how important is the third shot? And since you've been in pickleball, have you seen the philosophy or the strategy of what the third shot should be?
That is what I'm here to talk about today. Okay. I've been playing this game a long time. I think I started back in 2011, 2012. Been playing professional pickleball since 2014, and I've seen the game evolve quite a bit. But I still think back then and today, the third shot is the most important shot in the game. And I think it's what we should all be focusing our practice, the third shot drop, and of course the dinking and the kitchen play. But that third shot drop is extremely important still today. Okay. And I've seen it change a little bit over the years, but the philosophy and the strategy behind it, I think, are still the same. So in regards to players, do you think that players are becoming less patient today? Less patient. I wouldn't necessarily say they're being less patient. I think you've seen the game evolve so that players are getting so much better at certain shots. So shots or balls that a few years ago you would deem unattackable, players are actually able to speed it up and keep it in play more so nowadays. So I wouldn't say necessarily less patient, but players are getting a lot better at driving the ball. You see the play speeding up more often. I think that's just a tribute to how much the skill level has risen. Well, I've only been playing about 5 years, so not a whole long time. But when I first got into the sport, the third shot, if I would drive, or if we'd see players driving that third shot, they'd be given a label, right? It's like, oh my, bangers, you're a banger, you're a banger. And so for many years, it was, when I was on the courts, it was don't drive that third shot hard. Don't be a banger. It has to be a soft shot. And then recently, it seems like the third shot, we see a lot of the pros, we see a lot of the advanced players are now driving that third shot. So every shot obviously cannot be hit hard. What makes the difference when you're receiving a ball? What's going through your mind to say, okay, I'm going to drive this ball, or this is going to be a third shot that's going to be a nice, soft into the kitchen? Well, a good team that sets the example for that are the Waters, Lee and Emily Waters. I think a lot of people label them as bangers the last year or two just because they want to hit the ball hard as much as possible. And they're not necessarily bangers, but to them, that's the right shot. If you can hit it hard and low consistently, that's a tough ball to handle. But I think the thing you got to look out for is the height of that ball. If you can hit that ball and keep it low, regardless if you're hitting it hard or soft, as long as you're getting that ball low over the net, your opponents aren't going to be able to do a whole lot with it. So that seems to be the key for them. As long as they keep it low, they can hit as hard as they want. So when you are aiming your third shot, are you aiming it to any specific part of the court? Are you trying to go down the middle
to their backhand? What's your strategy?
That's what I'd like to talk about today.
Okay,
Yeah, there's a few different places you can aim, but that's what I was kind of hoping to cover today.
sure. That's
But
your expertise. So you're on the court. You're getting your third shot is coming to you. What's going through your mind? What's the strategy? If you were thinking out loud on the court, what would you be saying to yourself? This is going to be a drive. This is going to be a soft shot. I'm aiming to the right side of the court, the left side, the middle. What's going through your head?
there's always options with every ball you get. There's obviously different decisions you can make. And I think that's what separates a lot of players that might be the same skill level, but it's that shot selection, the decision making that separates a lot of the players, especially the top players who tend to make the right decisions most of the time. And sometimes it doesn't work. Statistically, if you make the right decisions enough, it'll pay off. But there's a lot of factors, spins on the ball, where the place the ball is, the height of the ball, how fast it's coming at you, where your opponents are. There's a lot of factors that go into it. And I'll definitely get into that some later on in the webinar.
Okay, all right. And then what about spin? Does spin affect the third shot at all?
Spin is more important than I think people realize for just control the ball and shaping the shots that they want. So another thing I was really hoping to focus on today is spin. So yes, it's very important.
Okay. And then the last question, then I'm going to let you just take over, is when do we move in after your third shot?
As soon as possible. If I'm hitting my third shot, I tell my partner, hey, trust I'm gonna hit a pretty good one, and you just go ahead and move right on in. If I leave it up, well, my bad.
And I'm going to imagine that
there's move in right away.
There's going to be more good shots than there are bad shots.
We can try.
Okay, so let me let you take over in regards to
Thank you.
How do you turn your third shot into a weapon?
Very excited. Thanks for having me, Brett. By the way, this is really cool what we're doing for all the people that are stuck at home that maybe aren't playing pickleball. At least they get it on here and listen to some good speakers. We've got a great lineup, a lot of interesting things to be said here, and a lot of lessons hopefully to be learned. I know I can definitely learn a few things from some of the other instructors, so I'm excited just to hear everybody else. But we can listen to me talk for the next 25 minutes, and hopefully we can all learn something.
Well, we're excited to have you here. So we're open for growth.
Beautiful. All right. So what I've seen over the years when I'm playing, I still believe that third shot drop is the most important shot in the game. It's what gets you into the rallies. And we're all familiar with the third shot drop. Okay. It's synonymous with the sport of pickleball. Everyone knows the third shot drop. Okay. And in past years, a few years ago, the drop is essentially just to get you up to the kitchen line safely. We all know that. It's to get the ball. We want it nice and high, arcing, apex on our side of the court, bouncing in the kitchen softly, and gives us time to move into the net where we can play winning pickleball. If you're stuck at the baseline driving ball after ball after ball, you never get into the net. That's not really the most ideal way to play the sport. Right. So we all know that. Nice soft drop. So you see players really practicing nice underhand motion, nice and soft, floating it, trying to gently land it in the kitchen. Most people even have backspin on their drops. And what that backspin does, it slows the ball down in the air so that when it lands in the kitchen, it stops and stays still and gives you time to move in. Okay? That hasn't changed. That is still effective. That is a nice, easy way for most players to get the ball into the kitchen safely and move up to the net fairly safely. But the players that I play against, that's just not good enough anymore. And I think what most players will find that over the years, when you do improve and you play better players, shots that used to be good enough just don't quite make the cut anymore. And so I encourage you all to constantly try to improve. I've been playing for a long time. I said about 8 or 9 years now. And I've found that every year I have to constantly work on new shots and try to get better and better, or I'm just going to fall off. So what I've started to do maybe about a year or two ago, and recently I've really stuck with it, is instead of hitting that soft floating backspin drop, I've really focused on trying to hit more topspin third shot drops, trying to roll the ball more. And that sets up so many more options for me with that point. And I've actually found that it's been easier for a lot of reasons. Okay. So when we're looking at the third shot drop, just the physics of it, that nice soft high ball coming in with backspin slows down, bounces, and sits still, okay? That doesn't really put any pressure on your opponents. The ball's gonna bounce, it's gonna sit up and stop and just be right there at its apex for them to do anything they want with it. And if you hit the ball too high, even if it bounces in the kitchen, how often does it bounce up and then they just step back and just drive it at you as you're still coming in? Okay, that happens a lot. But what I've tried to do and what I encourage you all to practice is when you hit that topspin shot, what that'll do is it'll still have that arc, but what that topspin does is it actually gets it to curl down quicker. But once it bounces, it's going to keep moving forward. It's not going to stop and hold up like that backspin would. It'll bounce and keep traveling through the court. It's a little more penetrating.
Mm-hmm.
So your opponents can't just stop, let it sit up and drive it at you again. They actually are most of the time going to have to either short hop it or back way up for it.
Right.
So
okay.
it puts them in a bit of a precarious situation now. If you can get that ball down with topspin and get it to bounce just inside the kitchen at their feet, now they've got a decision to make. And now most of the time what you'll see is that player will end up just short hopping it or playing a more defensive shot. They can't just let it bounce up and sit soft for them because it's not going to bounce up and sit soft for them. It's going to move through the court too much. And so now they're playing the shot, lifting the ball, and you're coming in and you most likely will be able to attack that next ball.
Now, when you do your topspin, Kyle, I know for a lot of players, it's probably much easier to do a topspin with a forehand than a backhand. Are you doing your backhand topspin as well?
Yes, both sides, and with enough practice. So you see a lot of players like Riley Newman. I know Ben Johns just switched to it, a two-handed backhand. Mm-hmm. With that left hand, it's easier to cradle the ball and roll it. Whereas maybe with a one-handed backhand, people don't have enough wrist stability to control that ball. What I'll like to do is I actually get around the ball and push forward more, not so much reaching from the side. And that actually makes my backhand drop easier, just pushing straight up through it.
Okay,
and a lot of people will, one thing I want to make sure is people aren't doing is trying to be too wristy, trying to hit topspin. Okay, it's not a ping pong paddle, it's not a tennis racket. The ball doesn't quite grip really well, so you don't want to brush too much up on it. It's just swinging nice up through the ball and generating that gentle topspin. And all you're trying to do is just change the shape of the shot. Instead of the ball going up and slowing down, we want it to go up and speed up and curl down and keep moving forward. And that's all you're trying to do. Not anything crazy. You're not trying to win the point. It's just changing the shape of that drop so that your opponent has to hit a slightly different shot.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Now, when you're hitting, now I understand how the dynamics change from it just sitting there, allowing the opponent to attack versus all of a sudden the ball is bouncing at them and they've got to defend. When you do your topspin third shot, is there a particular part of the court or a particular area that you're aiming for?
Good. Yeah, good question. So I like angles. We know that when you dink cross court, you've got more room to work with. So I think with your drop also, if you're able to get some angle on that, go maybe cross court or go more towards the middle of the court, whether it's to your opponent's backhand, which is ideal, or even to their forehand, getting the angle into the court will get the ball maybe a little more speed and give yourself a little more margin to get that ball to bounce in the kitchen. So if you're trying the shot straight ahead and your opponents are maybe taking every ball out of the air, then maybe give it a little more angle, make them reach a little more, and they might have to let that ball bounce. And once it bounces, it's going to keep moving, and they'll probably have to lean back or be on their heels a little bit more than normal, and that might give you a chance to move in and apply some pressure.
Okay. Now, I know at your level, you have a lot of players that, I mean, obviously their backhand, their forehand are probably just as strong, but the majority of players out there, 3-0 to 4-0, their backhanders are weaker than their forehand. Is there a recommendation, or you say, okay, I would be attacking their backhand, or maybe sometimes even at your level, you come across players that you know there's a small weakness that you're going to try to take advantage of. What are your thoughts on that?
Great question. Unfortunately, the players I play against don't really have a lot of weaknesses, but what I would suggest for most people, it's easy for me to say aim for their backhand, but let's say someone's backhand and forehand are equal. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not necessarily picking on a certain side. Which side is someone going to have a longer reach on? Which side are they more likely going to take the ball out of the air on? Their forehand or their backhand? Their forehand is typically going to have a longer reach. Okay. When they're reaching across their body, okay, they don't have quite as long of reach. So when you go to their backhand side, the odds of you getting that ball to bounce in the kitchen are a little bit higher. So if you want to play a statistics game, I would say try to roll that ball towards their backhands as much as possible. Middle's a great play, or a cross court over to the ad side player's backhand are usually the best spots to aim. So depending on which side I'm on, if I'm on the left side, if I'm like the odd player, I like to go cross court way over to the other ad court player's backhand. So far sharp cross court to the backhand. If I'm on the even side, I like to just roll it right down the middle to the other even side player's backhand.
Okay. Okay. Now, being the third shot being a weapon, in regards to hitting it in the kitchen, are you trying to aim your ball to land in the kitchen, or maybe there's talk among players that they're saying attack their feet, just get it into the kitchen. What's your strategy, or is there a combination of both in the kitchen or maybe a foot attacking their feet, or where are you going with that?
Great question. So it all depends. Okay. So turning your third shot into a weapon, what is going to set that up? Usually a great, nice, deep serve. Okay. A serve can help, but it's not critical. To me, I think if you can hit a good, nice, deep serve, it puts a lot more pressure on the other team. The players I play against, they get up to the line pretty quick. But for the majority of the people out there, when you're playing, if you get a nice, deep serve and they return the ball and they're still moving in to that line, you've got a little more leeway to aim. But I think if you're aiming for the kitchen, that's the safest place to hit it, because once they're up at the line, as long as you get it to roll into the kitchen, it's going to be an effective play. So if you can aim with a little more speed and get it deeper into the court, let's say their person's still moving in or they don't quite have as much reach. If you can get that ball to bounce even deeper in the court, let's say on the kitchen line or at their feet, that is probably best case scenario. So I've turned a little bit of my doubles game. I've tried to make it mirror my singles a little bit, where I'm actually trying to hit a little more of an aggressive rolling third, just to apply as much pressure as possible. But there's a lot that goes into that. From their returns is what's setting it up. So we'll talk about spins just for a second.
Sure.
When you guys are out there hitting serves, are the majority of your serves topspin by any chance? I think 99% of the players I play against, when they hit a serve, it has topspin on it. Okay. It's pretty difficult to actually serve legally with backspin, unless they're throwing in a lob serve, which is fairly rare. It happens, but it's fairly rare. The majority of serves are going to have topspin on them, just because you're swinging up through the ball. That's just natural.
Okay.
So what tends to happen with the returns? The returns tend to have backspin on them. Okay. If you look at the physics of a pickleball paddle, pickleball, the pickleball, if you happen to be using a Durafast 40, which is what the pros prefer, it's nice and smooth. Pickleball paddle, nice and smooth. There's no friction. So it's very difficult to change the spin of the ball by the contact with the paddle. So if that ball already has topspin, it's very hard to counter the topspin with topspin. Odds are the ball's going to slide right off the paddle and go into the bottom of the net. Okay. If that's happened to you, you'll know exactly what I mean. So what players tend to do, pros players, they either drive it flat or they slice it to keep the same rotation on the ball. It's just the easiest way for us to play it. We're not trying to change the spin of the ball. We're keeping the spin. So what I mean by that is the return's going to have backspin most of the time. So for all you out there trying to hit a backspin drop shot off of a slicing back spin return, that ball is going to slide right off, especially when you're playing against better players who really, really knife, really slice their returns. That backspin drop, that nice soft drop, is extremely difficult. And I think that is why you see a lot of players nowadays driving their third shots, because it's very difficult to hit a soft, delicate slice drop off a ball that's spinning, 100 miles an hour, 100 RPMs. So you see a lot of third shot drives. We drive the ball with hard topspin because we have all that backspin to work with. And then what happens is now their volley you hit a nice low ball, they have to hit a delicate volley fairly flat to keep the ball in play. And then now you have a nice, easy, flat ball that you could do anything you want with it. And usually that fifth shot, we drop it into the kitchen. Okay.
Okay.
What I want to do is, instead of driving it every time, I take that backspin and I roll it with a ton of topspin with that half speed ball so that it dips down at your opponent's feet.
Okay.
And now you've got a ball with a ton of topspin dipping down right at their feet that they're not going to have an easy time dealing with. So instead of making them just hit a nice, easy volley out in front, you're making them dip down at their feet and pick up a ball that's got a ton of topspin. And most of the time, what ends up happening is they pop that ball up. And that's exactly what I want them to do, is pop that ball up so my partner and I can come flying in and poach and smash it for an easy point.
That's wonderful. I have a question for the audience. One of the members asked, for topspin, when is the best time to contact the ball? I love it. For topspin, when's the best time to contact the ball?
Out in front. I think what you're looking for an answer is how high that ball is.
Yeah.
But I would say anything out in front. If you're reaching to your sides at all, it's a little tougher to hit topspin. When the ball's in front of you, it's a lot easier to control brushing up through the ball. If you're reaching way out to the side, you get a little too wristy, and then your consistency kind of drops down a little. So try to make sure you move your feet, get behind the ball so it's in front of you. The higher the ball is, doesn't make as much of a difference because you're still getting that arc. So even if it's low, you can get that arc to kind of get the ball to go up and dip down. So the height of the ball for topspin shots, if you're just rolling it, isn't necessarily as important. Now, if the ball is higher up, let's say waist high, those are the ones you usually will step in and just drive real hard. Okay, because you can hit nice and low and flat and get it to dip and make them hit a volley. For me, I choose to roll those balls usually when they're a return of serve and they're a little lower with that backspin, where I have to get under it and pull it up and get that ball to really arc. And that's when I get my nice rolls. So just get behind the ball, make sure you're balanced.
One pickleball player asked, they love the topspin transition. What are the drills that they can do to prepare for getting back on the courts?
Drills. Well, like I said, I haven't been on a pickleball court in at least 2 weeks. But you know, I encourage you all not to just be sitting at home watching Netflix all day. You know, when you have to realize when most of us play pickleball maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. So you can imagine what that does to your muscle endurance in your legs. So what we've done, we actually set up a mock court in our garage where we kind of taped off a line on the wall. And so I'm able to still kind of dink against a wall. But I think a lot of it is the leg strengthening. Okay, getting those squats, a lot of squats in, lunges, making sure that your quads and everything are still, still have that endurance, that stamina. So, I know this game's not a ton of cardio for most people. So, the sprints and things like that might not be as important, but nice long bike rides, a lot of squats, wall sits, things like that, just to keep your core and your lower body, strong. That's probably the best play. And don't forget shoulder exercises too. I think if you don't, work out your shoulder, I swim a lot. I actually have gone surfing the last few days. I'm actually hoping to go out later and maybe tomorrow even. But shoulder exercises. So we've got some bands, like little band workouts that you could easily look up online and see. Just things to make sure that your muscles all stay active, so you're not just sitting and they're just not growing weak over time. Because then you get out and play, you try to play hard that first game, you never know, you might hurt something.
Right. Well, Kyle, it's amazing how fast 30 minutes goes. And I would love to have you on for hours and hours and hours. I want to thank you for your gift of knowledge. You're one of the top players in the world. We love watching you play. And we look forward to seeing you on the courts again. Hopefully, on our next summit, when we have future summits, we can get you back with us again to talk about some other subjects that you have so much knowledge on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Any last thing you want to say before we say goodbye? I
do. I've got a new apparel line coming out. We've actually already came out, but with this whole coronavirus thing, we've had to put on hold. But when this is all over, definitely check out pb1965.com. If you use code Kyle, it's 15% off. But we got a lot of cool
Nice.
stuff coming. So keep a lookout for that. Yeah.
And say, give them the website one more time.
pb1965.com. Obviously 1965 was the year pickleball invented, so we paid tribute to that. So it's gonna be a lot of good stuff. I can't wait. I've designed most of the apparel and great wristbands I already use. So we'll see.
We'll make sure that we promote it for you. Thank you again, Kyle.
All right. Thanks, Brett.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. We are going to move on to Stephanie Lynn. Stephanie Lynn is from Sweet Spot Skirts. And she's going to be talking a little bit about her product and what she does for us. So I think you can talk. If you play pickleball, or even if you don't play pickleball, you probably know what this is. Okay. We're going to be talking about what this is
all these
and
things,
how
look at questions.
this great mask came about for me. You're going to meet a dynamic woman by the name of Stephanie Lynn, who is the CEO of Sweet Spot Skirts. I love her skirts. As a matter of fact, the last time I was in a gold medal match, I wore one of her skirts. They're comfortable. So it's okay to be a man and wear one of her skirts. We'll talk about that later. She's going to tell you the story of not only how did she start Sweet Spot Skirts, but how it merged into a company called Facewear Fashions, which is what I'm holding up right here. You're going to want to learn about this. You're going to love this woman. Her name is Stephanie Lynn. Stephanie, welcome. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Hello, pickleball players. I'm a 2-year veteran of the sport, and I absolutely love it. And in the background right here, you can see my pickleball Christmas tree, which stays up all year, and it's got an onyx paddle at the top.
An onyx. Are you an onyx player? Are you an onyx?
I am an onyx player. Yes.
And onyx fans. There's a lot of medals there.
There are 2 years worth.
Congratulations.
I win a lot. Thank you.
You're a good player. So you started with how you started with Sweet Spot Skirts, correct?
Yes, for the last 10 years, I've been selling this skirt right here. It is a sizable skirt, so it goes from a 2 to a 14. It's meant to cover your tights, especially when you're playing pickleball, and that's sweetspotsskirts.com. You can go check that out online. But that company's been around for 10 years, and on March, what was it, 16th?
Yeah, exactly.
Our world shut down, and I was at the Texas USAPA Mid-South Regionals getting ready to play. The first day of sales, we were through the roof. Those Texas women loved our product. I was so excited to have a good sale. We had the best February we've had in 10 years. Finally, my company was taking off. And at 5 o'clock on that day, we heard that the tournament had been canceled. We were on a flight home the next day, and by the time I arrived in Vancouver, Washington, we were shut down with at least 2 months worth of events. Now you got to remember, 50% of our money comes off online sales, and the other 50%, we take our product out to women in the running, biking, all over the country. So by closing down these events, it took at least $45,000 to $75,000 that we weren't going to get. I can't continue my company without that, and online sales fell because the market dropped. So by the time I got back in 24 hours, I had basically lost my company. And yeah, you're kind of in shock. I met with my landlord and I said, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent, me and half the other country. And I actually teared up. I mean, it was heartbreaking.
Right.
And it was literally 72 hours later, a veterinarian office, Wellhaven Pet Clinics.
Okay.
They came to me. They're listed in Forbes right now as one of the top 100 startups to work with. They're amazing. And they said, we're letting all of our masks go to the medical world, the hospitals for people. Can you make us masks and surgical hats? And I thought, okay, I can design skirts, I can design tops, I can design a hat and a mask. And within 24 hours, I had met with them and they put in a 1,000 piece order, which
Wow.
which allowed me to bring back my staff. It allowed me to work. I've been putting in 14-hour days. This is hard. While everybody, it's like, what do you want? Well, it's also giving me the chance that I might be able to regain some momentum to get my skirt company back up. So Jim Stapleton and Petra Vernon called me on a Friday night at 8:30, and they said, we've got 2 words for you. Fashionable facewear, because they know we do fashionable skirts.
Right, right.
I wasn't exactly sure how to spell fashionable, and I wasn't sure everybody else would. And I'm thinking that's kind of a long word. So I changed it to Facewear Fashions. And within 2 hours, I had my website up and going for Facewear Fashions. And I never thought people would want to buy a face mask from me. But Jim and Petra pushed and pushed and said, just do it. So I did. And the next couple of days, we sold 100 face masks online.
Wow.
And, from the stories coming in, the little old man called and he couldn't get through. And I said in an email back to him, we're sold out. I'm so sorry. And so I don't know. Let me get that off. There you go. The email I got back from him, sorry, I was getting upset, but my 78-year-old wife is panicking. She needs a mask. Well, I dropped everything, got him 2 masks in the mail that very moment.
Right, right.
But it's stories like that just, like, I don't have a doctor degree. I have an MBA, but I don't have, I'm not usually saving lives, but these masks have been accredited because if I wear one and you wear one, we're saving each other's lives should one of us be carrying the virus.
I love that. As a matter of fact, I am a client. This is my mask. I love it because it's reversible.
Right.
So it has both sides depending on the mask I purchased. Do I want light blue or dark blue to match my shirt? Early this morning, I had a dark blue shirt. It was beautiful. I was out shopping the other day at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Wearing the mask and saw a lot of people were not wearing masks. And it reminded me, I saw you on, I think it was a Facebook post. You said something that clearly stuck with me. And it said, I'm just going to paraphrase it, but you basically said, I'm going to wear my mask to save you.
Yes.
And if you wear your mask to save me,
right,
I think it's a great thing.
It is. And so, looking at the masks, we do reversible skirts. So that's what we do. On the skirt, You've got bright colors and then you've got dull colors. And this fits a size 2 to 14. So it's multi-use. Well, we took that same concept into our mask. So here's a mask. These don't go around your ears, but you can tie them so that they go around your ear if you want to tie them little. I tie mine up like this because I like the comfort of having it around your head. So this mask can be worn with the musical side or the black side. There's a simple pleat in it, which expands over your mouth and nose. And the pleat is on the same, if you reverse it, it's the same way. And these are versatile. They fit most heads. A man or a woman can do any of the designs just like yourself. This is our new one. It's a tiger with some orange. So a lot of people are wearing the black face mask or the cotton face mask, and they go around the ears, but the people who are having trouble behind the ears are getting a rash.
Yes.
So these can tie wherever you want them. They stay put. We have a running company running in them when they're next to each other. Bicyclists are wearing them out when they get to a place where there's people. They just put their mask up. So I think it's the future right now. Certainly it's where we're going to protect everyone because we don't know a lot about this virus yet. And I think as a social courtesy, when you go to the store, I'm glad you wear your mask because that's what we need to protect everyone until we really understand what's going on.
And absolutely. The last thing I want to do is infect someone unknowingly. And it's from what I've been reading and watching on the news and Facebook and so forth, I almost get the feeling that America is going to be asked, at least temporarily, to wear masks as we're starting to unwind and phase back into society and open up businesses.
Yeah.
I think that masks are going to be very important for at least for the short period of time.
Right.
So as a whether you're a pickleball player or not a pickleball player, if you're breathing, you might want to have a mask. So Stephanie, how would one get a hold of your mask? How would one order a mask? Is there a website? Where can we send people to?
Yes, there's a website, the one that Jim and Petra forced my hand at making, and it's sold out a bit. We are making them in the U.S. I walk in and I'm actually helping I don't sew, but I'm helping press and turn. And so you can order online. We usually stock them in the morning or in the afternoon and just keep an eye on it. So it's facewearfashions.com.
Okay.
Yeah, you can also go to sweetspotskirts.com and it will have a link directly taking you there. And you know, we have been to a lot of pickleball tournaments and sold a lot of skirts, and we're excited to get back out there, but I'm not sure when that world is going to return. So online shopping, you know, our packages are wiped down. We only allow 5 people into the store, and they're the same 5 people that have been working there the whole time. So we're very, very conscientious about our clean room, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, and you do pay shipping for the faceware, but Sweet Spot Skirts has free shipping. So whatever you can do to help out small businesses would be incredible. Yeah.
Well, I just want to, in closing, I just want to thank you. I believe you're saving lives.
Thank you.
I believe that you are helping save lives, and you saw an opportunity to help others, and you jumped on it. And I know you're working 24/7. I know you're not getting sleep. I know you're doing. Like you said, an elderly man or woman needs it right now. You drop everything to make sure that they get it, and you're making it here in the United States.
We are, and you know, we're really super fortunate that the outreach has been to support. The mask is not much different than any other face mask. It's 2 pieces of high thread cotton to keep as much breathability, but it also tries to keep my saliva on me and yours stays on you. But the outreach of people who are supporting our small made in the USA business is absolutely incredible. And a lot of those are pickleball players because I'm so prominent going out there with the pickleball women, and we've sold to them and we've played. And so my heart is just really, really happy as just the response that we've gotten.
Well, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Facewearfashions.com.
Yes.
I urge you to go out there, take a look at these beautiful masks. I wear them. I have them. My wife wears them. We love them. Stephanie, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
And then hopefully we'll see you more back in the full time at Sweet Spot Skirts.
Yes. Thank you so much. And everybody stay covered. Let's protect each other.
Okay. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our first winner is Matt Pace. Matt, you have won a Pickleball Rocks gift certificate for $20. We're going to make sure that we get that to you. Our second winner is Don Horan from Sweet Spot Skirts. We're going to give you a gift certificate. Lisa McCrusson, congratulations. You've won a Sweet Spot Skirts gift certificate. And Peter, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, Popovich. We are going to send you a Sweet Spots mask. So we'll get all we have your contact information. We'll reach out to you to make sure you get these free giveaways. Our next speakers that we're going to listen to, we have some great information coming from Gearbox. We're going to watch the We Will Survive video created by Morgan Evans. Karen Noel from Your Everything sportsapparel.com clothing, and then another giveaway. So here we go. And congratulations to those people that won those prizes. We have a lot more coming up. Hey, pickleball players out there, if you're like me, whether you're playing recreationally or you are playing at tournaments, one of the things you see more and more on the courts are Gearbox paddles. I've probably been playing the last 3 years and a lot of tournaments. I'm seeing a lot of the top players, especially on the medal stands, they're showing off their Gearbox paddles. There's something about the paddle that's given an edge to these players in regards to not only winning more tournaments, but winning more games. And we're fortunate enough today to have the CEO of Gearbox, Rafael Filippini, with us today. He's going to share with us a little bit about the advanced technology of his paddles, why you want to have a Gearbox paddle, as well as some other accessories that his company offers us pickleball players to play better sports and to play safer games. So, Rafael, thanks for being here with us today. I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me today, Brett.
It's great. Let me start by asking the genesis of Gearbox. When did it start? How did you come up with the idea? Let's start there and we can progress in where you are today. But just the birth of such a great company, how did it come about?
Yeah, well, it actually began years back before we even started Gearbox. I've been involved in sports now for close to 30 years, not only participating in sports, but on the manufacturing side as well, particularly racket sports. I played racquetball at a professional level for many years, and was involved as an engineer with a racket company, which then led me to, I branched off, I broke off the racket company and, started Gearbox, which is part of the American dream, right? I mean, if you could think you can do it better and create advancements and do it on your own, I definitely took that opportunity. It was quite a risk. We started in 2007, which at the time was great, but then, come 2008 and the whole, we had another little crisis back then, which is the whole economic, the housing market.
Right, exactly.
And now we're facing quite a different challenge today. But like back then and today, hopefully we'll get through it and then move on. So anyway, the passion and the reason for Gearbox was to improve technology. My background is in engineering, more mechanical, but I would say I'm more of an inventor first before I am an engineer. So I look at things and I'm always questioning, well, why do they design it that way? Can it be improved? Can it be, in our case, lighter, stronger, faster, and or we look for things that, well, gosh, this is great, but are there materials or processes that can make this better and improve play for somebody? So as an athlete, I always want to have a little better edge over my competitors. So, that I'm always constantly searching for those small things, whether it's in the training or I can't really say in the nutrition part. I'd love to, not anymore. But you got the training, the equipment, and all of those things that you look to have an edge, right? So I sort of took that passion and we build that into our products. We build it into our company, into our core structure of who we are. So that's really the drive and the passion of why Gearbox began.
I love it. I think with all great entrepreneurs, they look at a product, in this particular case, pickleball paddles back in 2007, and they look at it and they say, I can do better. I can advance this. I can create something that's even more powerful than what's on the market right now. And you came out with some great products. What was it that you did with your paddles that kind of separated you away from a lot of the other paddles that are out there on the market?
Okay, well, just one quick correction. Our company began in 2007, but we did not begin to develop pickleball paddles up until about 2012. The first
2012. Wow. Okay.
I did other composite products like I've developed golf club heads, golf club shafts, racquetball, some tennis equipment, squash, badminton. And all of these products have something in common where we do what we call bladder molding. And bladder molding is when you take a cavity mold, you pressurize it internally. There's other techniques where you can do vacuum molding and bag molding and things like that with pressures and vacuum. So in understanding that technology and those processes to a pretty high level, I would say, in terms of what we built, I did look at pickleball, in which, like I said, it was 2011, 2012. And at that time, we saw a lot of wooden paddles, and then the sandwich structures of the honeycombs were beginning to become popular. And but even then, we said, okay, well, that's good. It's a panel. It's a sandwich structure. But understanding composites and what we do, is we can make a much better product in terms of how it performs. So we began to play around with the techniques and processes that we do. However, some of the limits and the things that we were not able to do, there's some rules with it, the USAPA, which you cannot have certain materials in the core. You cannot, there has to be, a deflection test where you can't. So given some of those restrictions, we had to design, or I had to design some products to stay within those parameters, but also look for those advances. So that was a challenge. It was a challenge to stay within the requirements of the USAPA and some of the language that was in the rules, but trying to be creative with what we are doing. So it actually took about 3 years to develop, and we came up with what we call our solid span technology. And again, I'll show you. This is polypropylene. This is what most pickleball paddles are made of. This is
okay.
They're these cells. It's plastic polypropylene. We could sort of tear it off, and it's just plastic essentially. They're like straws, and they're straws cut at a certain height, and they're glued side by side. And then you have the strength when you compress the top surface. And then what it is, you have the straws in the middle, or the honeycomb, and then you sandwich it with two layers. So then you've got this structure.
Now, is that what we kind of, us neophytes, is that what we call honeycomb?
Yes, that is honeycomb.
Okay.
Okay. It has got a hexagon shape.
Sure.
And like I said, and it's built because it's got the structure to withstand the pressure from the top or the surfaces, and the honeycomb cell stands up. So then its rigidity is here. But the problem with it is it's a good structure when you're only applying a load from one side here. But when it comes to bending like this or twisting, there's no structure to it whatsoever. So it's good when it's where they use this mostly is aircraft or panels. It's lightweight and it's strong on the surface, but so you'll see it a lot on the floorboards or on the overhead bins of aircraft. Where you want lightweight and some strength, but there's really no twisting, bending, or a lot of performance characteristics to it. So and the way you get the performance now from a structure like this is by cutting different shapes, cutting thicker shapes near the handle or near the throat. So that's and you can change the surface plies like this one here to make it a little bit stiffer, but you've got tremendous limitations. So when we came in, we said, well, our background is composites, and we do all these molded structures with all these integrals or just different shapes, and we can change fiber angles, we can change fiber types to give us different stiffnesses, bending. And so what we came up with is, and this is essentially the core of our paddle. So what we do is we take about 30 of these cores. They're also like tubes, but rather than them being vertical like this, we actually lay it horizontal, and we create these. Now here you can see our channel. So we create this channel structure. So these tubes are literally laying the length of the paddle. Now there's a trick to this, because if you can see, how they're uniformly and they're parallel to one another.
Right,
And
right.
they're perpendicular, very nice to the surface, to the top and bottom. Well, all of this structure is molded as one piece. We take the cores, we take the surface structures, we create a frame structure that goes around. That goes into molds. And I have a paddle that is sort of out of the mold. You can see this is what the paddle shape looks like. This is all one hard piece.
That's all one piece.
Is
Yeah.
molded. We inject the air through these chambers in here. We also have a special material in the core that expands. So that is how we're able to expand each one of the cells at precisely the same time. Otherwise, if one cell expanded at one time and another didn't, you would see them sort of just being pushed off at these angles, weird angles. So there's quite a science and a technique to get each one to expand to give us this really nice structure. Here's what with the material that expands inside, and this other side, I just sort of remove the core so you can see it a little better. But and we do that thousands and thousands of times over and over too, and that's a real trick. I mean, sometimes you can do it in a lab and then it's hard to duplicate, but now we're able to do it in a production situation. So now, what's the advantage, right? So
that was my next question.
Yeah.
What is the advantage?
So what's the advantage? The first big advantage is now, because it's molded, we're able to get rid of the, that rubber edge that goes around the paddle. So let's get rid of that. We don't need it, and then we replace that with carbon fiber as well. So now, here's the core. Here's sort of the top of the paddle. Now that's cut. So we still continue that core all the way to the edge, but now our paddle's edge is got the carbon fiber. You can see the thickness here. So this is all one big structure. I cannot bend this like I can, like with this structure here.
Now, what does that mean to the pickleball player? Does that mean more control, more power, more accuracy? What does that mean to the average player?
Yeah. So what that means is now, because we can build this structure, we can also control the flex in this motion, the bending. If I were to bend the paddle down this way, we can control the torsion, how the paddle twists, and we can do that at every inch, because carbon fibers, we hand lay all these different plies in the ribs, so we can control inch by inch on what we do with each one of these paddles. We actually have, if you can see here, this is our power series on this side. And then we have what we call our control series. So the structure internally on both of these paddles is exactly the same. Well, I shouldn't say exactly the same. The amount of material and the way the material is laid is the same. What changes is how we change the fiber angle. So by fiber angle in our chambers, this is a ply of carbon fiber. If I kind of close, you see this little dark area here, it's at about a 30-degree angle. So this ply has a positive and a negative. It's very thin, extremely light. This is what shapes our core. So first it's a flat sheet like this. Then we roll this into that tube. And then once that tube is set, so this would be 30 degrees. But I can reinforce this ply with 10 degrees, and 10 degree would be a more shallow angle this way. 45 degrees would be higher. So and then 0 would run the length of so every degree that we have has a different play characteristic. So the lower the angle along the longer axis would become a stiffer part. So this, if I had 0 degree running along here, this would be tough to bend this way, but it would be very easy to bend or to twist. So knowing these different characteristics on the paddles, then we can design and go in here and change the different fiber angles. So now you ask why, what's important, right? So with the players, what we do is now we get rid of that plastic edge, and now because the structure is stronger, I can create a much thinner paddle. And by having a thinner paddle, this paddle is going to rotate much faster than a thicker paddle, not because of wind resistance, but just more because of the volume and where that location of the material is. This one is more centered toward this little axis. So the rotation point becomes, it takes less energy to rotate from here, even though two parts weigh the same. The other thing is, because it's also thinner and you're able to roll it, now the biggest part is we have a ball. When you hit the ball, this paddle rolls so much faster, you can now impart much more spin on the ball. So now you've got a lot more top spin. You can probably try and hit the ball a little bit faster or harder, and then that ball will just bite toward the end of the court and still drop in. So having that topspin capability in pickleball is a tremendous tool. And with our paddles, you're able to create so much more spin on the ball and bite. And conversely, you can, undercut it and have it quick to stop the ball and give it backspin.
A little bit more of a slice. And that could be a game changer. That could be a game changer for a lot of players. The ability to add more topspin or more underspin and
absolutely. And when your opening statement, you mentioned why, a lot of our players or the players using the paddles are in the medal stands and things. And that's really what we hear back immediately is like, wow, as soon as I started playing with your paddle, I get used to it. And then I'm able to just get that ball right over the net and curve it right back down in there, or so much. So it gives a little bit more trouble to my opponent to return the ball well. Because a lot of times too, when you're driving the ball and so, what do they say? Chest high, let it go by, right?
Chest high, let it fly.
Let it fly, or let it go by. And so here sometimes you do that and you turn and all of a sudden the ball drops and it lands in the back court. Now you're like, oh boy, do I let that one go or do I return it? And that's an advantage. So you start getting all these things. You get your opponent to be thinking about the things he normally wouldn't think about. So, and that becomes an advantage to the player.
Well, I love having.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, so then having the power series and the control series, the difference between these two is on the power series, the ball will jump off the face a little faster. So if you're a person that has nice soft hands, you can control the speed, and you can soften the ball, then a power series is nice because you can soften your grip and be able to dink very well. But when you get that set up, you're able to power it through. Now, if you're looking for a little more touch and a softer feel, then we have the control where the ball, when the ball hits the face, the ball is going to actually stay on the face longer on this paddle. And then you're able to sort of almost carry the ball a little bit more and sort of guide it into where you want your shot. So there's a couple different game styles out there. There's some people that like that soft, just a little slower swing, and some that, have more of a flick and they move the ball. So we've just designed both of these paddles to kind of cater to these different game styles.
And I think that's a great thing to have for players to do, because out there in the pickleball community, there's players that will say, listen, I played most of this soft game. They might use some power, but a lot of times they recognize themselves as they like the soft game. And there's a lot of players out there that their opponents call them bangers, but they like to play the hard game. And it's great to have a paddle that is designed for that type of player. So you have paddles that are both for the people that love more of a softer game, as well as the players that like a more powerful game as well.
Yes, and we also, with let's take for example our GX6, we make in an 8.5 ounce. We make this paddle, it's exactly the same paddle weight wise and everything, but in the control. So the shape. So you're saying, wow, hey, you know what? Today maybe they're playing with a softer ball, and you're used to more of the Duraball, or the conditions. You're out in the heat, and the Duraball gets softer. So you want your paddle to provide a little bit more pop, or conversely, you're playing in cold weather and the ball gets rigid and it feels harder. So you can use the softer paddle that'll absorb a little more energy. So the idea is, you can maybe go back and forth with the paddle, so you're not. It's sort of like having string tension on a racket. You adjust your tension. In this case, you switch your paddles to the conditions of what you're playing as well too. It could be wind behind you or against you. You could.
I love it.
Have some players and customers who say, "Well, I use my control when I'm playing against the wind. I'm sorry, with the wind behind me and the power against the wind, so I can keep and maintain the same stroke and not have to worry so much about adjusting so much, my stroke speed and things like that."
Love it. Love it. And thank you for sharing that. I don't want to leave without mentioning really quickly, the last tournament I was at, one of your representatives was there, and I purchased eyewear. I purchased some of the glasses because I think it's very important that players protect their eyes when they're on the course. What I really liked about your eyewear was it looked classy. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't, it looked like a very classy pair of glasses that not only could I wear them on the court, but if I was just driving around, if I was just hanging out with friends, I can put those same pair of eyewear on and it looked good. So tell us really quickly before we go a little bit about your eyewear.
Yeah, definitely encourage our eyewear. Our eyewear, although it looks cool, it looks very nice and it's fashionable, it's actually a tool. It's a tool to protect you while you're playing. Even as you're riding a bike, a motorcycle, it does have the UV protection, the clear lens. We have a smoke lens. I've got, this is our blue lens, and then our clear for sports. So right now I have a little film on here, but let me just remove that. So it's got a very nice clear view. Polycarbonate lenses with a nylon frame, so the frame is very flexible. It's not going to break. These are specifically designed for impact sports, and that's important. They're the test is what we call the ASTM F803-11, which is the 2011 version. Is one of the latest versions. I believe there's only one more, but they don't change very often. But what's important that these eyewear are designed to absorb impact, a ball impact, possibly paddles. There's not a test where a paddle or racket is tested against it, but there is a ball that travels at 140 miles an hour, and the ball is hit at it at various angles. Also, the light refractory is measured to make sure that the vision, the clarity of the light going into your eye, it's not distorted. So objects are not distorted, or you don't get any distortion from what you're seeing. It's actually very clear. So the standard is very specific as to how it should work, and these eyewear are designed to protect you. So when you have them on and you receive a ball impact, it's going to spread the load of the impact around the orifice of the cavity here of the eye. The idea is you're going to save your vision. You could get cut, you could get bruised, and I'll take that over any loss or damage to my eye for sure.
Totally 100% safe, protecting the eyes, and they look good. That's what I really like about them as well. In closing, where can we go? Do you have a website that you can, a pickleball player says, you know what, I want to try a Gearbox paddle, I want to try the eyewear. What's your website where we can direct players to go?
It's gearboxsports.com.
Gearboxsports.com.
Gearboxsports.com. You mentioned trying out rackets. We do rackets and paddles. We have a demo program for $20. You can keep the demos for a week. Try them out, and there's a return label included. And at the end of the demo, you cannot buy the demos that we send out. Those have to return because they're in a cycle. Right. But we'll send you a brand new one. You get a $5 credit. So the $20 really covers shipping back and forth. Actually, only covers shipping there. We cover shipping back, and then we give you a $5 credit. So. And the demo program is a great way. You get up to 4 paddles, your choice. You keep them for a week. You can share them with your friends once you get back into the courts, and and try them out. You'll see the difference. And again, kind of touching back on that technology, you'll never get dead spots. The paddles are going to be extremely durable. One thing I forgot to mention is the sweet spot on these, because we changed the material and the design, it's a very, very large sweet spot. So we can liven the perimeter. So definite advantages to the technology and what we are doing. So yeah, go to gearboxsports.com and you find out more information, and definitely encourage trying the demo program. And as far as the eyewear, no way to demo it. You just buy them and
just buy it.
Yeah, they're guaranteed. You're going to love the eyewear and what they perform and how they perform.
Well, I'm a customer of both, so I really appreciate
I really appreciate it.
All the information. Pickleball players, if you're out there, go check out the Gearbox products. They're good products. Definitely protect your eyes. Rafael, thank you so much for sharing this technology and your pals and your company. And we'll see you on the courts.
All right, awesome. See you then.
Okay, bye-bye. Hi, I know that was a lot of information about paddles, but we just wanted to give you some ideas in regards to the construction of paddles now, and the development, and we're starting to see that even paddles from all different manufacturers are really geared specifically to the player's skill set or what they're trying to accomplish on the courts. We are going to do some giveaways really quick. In regards, we're going to give away a paddle, a Gearbox paddle, and 2 protective eyeglasses. I have over here Bill Hart. Congratulations, you've won a paddle. Leslie Marks, I'm sorry, Bill Hart, you've won glasses. Leslie Marks, you've also won a pair of protective glasses. And Aaron Cakes, congratulations, you have won a paddle. So you're going to enjoy it. Our next speaker we're going live with is Dane Gingrich. And here's what I love about Dane. We see and we hear a lot about the drills, the physical aspects of pickleball, what we need to be doing on the courts, how we need to be physically prepared to play better. But there's not a whole lot of discussion in regards to the mental aspect of the game. And Dane Gingrich, his topic today is belief before evidence, the ability to mentally raise your bar of belief before you're physically ready to execute on that vision. And so I'm excited to talk live with Dane. If you have any questions in regards to Dane, please put them in the chat box. And he'll answer them. And so I've got a little computer on my left. I'll kind of try and see what questions you have. So we're going to wait for Dane to jump on with us here. And I'm excited to have that live discussion with Dane. He's a dynamic player. And we've seen him on the courts winning tournaments after tournaments after tournaments. And he's got, if you're watching Facebook, you see a lot of his crazy videos. He's a funny guy too. So, Dane, are you on yet? Or
I am, buddy. How are you?
Oh, there you are. There you are. So, Dane, I don't know if you remember. I think, first of all, how long have you been playing pickleball?
My first tournament was last year, like a minute before nationals. So,
okay.
But I picked up the paddle a couple years ago and then put it back down.
Well, it wasn't that long ago that I remember playing against you on the Central Coast.
Yeah.
And I remember some players saying, hey, Brett, there's this new guy that he's kind of learning to play. He's going to be pretty good. I remember them saying, I remember playing against you thinking, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And I think at that time, it's like you were just picking up a paddle.
Yeah.
And it became natural for you. And you were, I remember you winning, beating us. You were amazing that day. I knew you'd become a great player. You did become a great player. And now you become an influencer in the pickleball community. Love your crazy videos, keeping us entertained.
Thank you.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
But I also love your topic. And I love the idea that you're focusing on the mental game of pickleball, which is so important to not only tournament players, but just for players, period.
Right.
So have you always been has that been a study of yours, the mental aspect of sports?
Yeah. You know what? It's just kind of, or people ask all the time, right? And my dad had been talking to me about this since I was 4, 5, 6 years old, playing tennis and basketball, right? He just was always asking the question, right, what separates the great athletes from the ones who could have been great? And, they never reached that potential. You never heard about them, right? And he just kept pouring into me about, what separated and differentiated, and it started at such a young age. And then playing tennis and basketball, I just kept focusing on that. And then it just on accident kind of sprouted while I was teaching tennis, looking for a different tool, right? Why were athletes, growing as fast as they could. And I just started diving in and learning as much as I could and studying, and got great mentors. And it just kind of organically just turned into a business, right? And then last year, out of nowhere, I decided to write an article on Pickleball Forum on a mental, not having any idea what kind of engagement. And I was blown away by the engagement that the pickleball community has, right? Not just but for everybody. And that, and then I said, wait, let's bring this to pickleball as well. And it's, been fantastic.
I think pickleball players are always open for growth and always open for new ideas. We've seen the game of pickleball. I was talking to Kyle earlier this afternoon, and we see the game of the physical aspects of the game change over the years, but we don't hear a lot of discussion on the mental aspects. Mentally, how can we prepare ourselves to play better on the courts? I think part of that has to do with belief. Players believing in themselves. I wrote some notes that I wanted to ask you. Why would you say a lot of, I don't want to say most, but why are a lot of players hesitant to believe in themselves first?
I think it's a tough topic, right? I think first of all, just naturally, a lot of us are just pessimistic people, right? I think a lot of us just don't believe, not all of us, right? I just think belief is it might even be cliche, right? Just believe in yourself, right? And I'm not even talking about that as much as I am talking about raising your bar past what the majority say you should, right? That quote realistic place. I think it's a tough subject because I think a lot of it is a skill set. I think, some will naturally say, I've just always had belief. But for me, I haven't, right? Physical skills and I could do some things, I was born with, but for whatever reason, I always looked at the negative first and I still battle it. So, and that was a big driver in why I wanted to do this as a performance coach for young athletes. How can we help kind of grow that sense of belief when you naturally don't have it? And why don't you have it? And what are the skills that we can kind of help you implement to slowly grow that? I think it's really difficult to believe past what we think is realistic. I think we have a lot of people around us, society, people, friends, family, that are naturally, not on purpose, not trying to hurt us, but naturally trying to keep us in this realistic spot, which then equates to don't push out of comfort, which then equates to staying the same. And then it just kind of, it's this brutal cycle of lack. So that fascinated me, why weren't we naturally going to that place? And like the physical, like what Kyle was saying with the thirds, like we can see the results right away, right? When you hit a nice little dipper third or you hit a nice drive, like you can see physical results. So it's easy to buy into that. But the mental piece, very often you'll actually get worse before you get better. And it's really hard to quantify growth with the mental, right? Players want to look at the wins and losses versus the inner growth, the subtle things that will happen long before the W's.
Well, a lot of that is in regards, because you and I coach a lot of players, and sometimes we'll see the players on the court, oh, I can't do that. I can't serve well. I can't. And it's like the moment they make an error, the mind, the self-talk starts to self-destruct in regards to I can't. Oh, here we go again. They hit one long serve and then mentally they're telling themselves, here we go again. And the rest of the game, they're hitting bad serves because they've self-proclaimed that mentally. So we talk about mental imagery and visualization. How does that play a role in developing belief or even playing better pickleball?
Well, I think first off, I don't think many people understand the power in visualization, the power in creating mental imagery. The brain doesn't know the difference between an emotional, intense visualization, eyes closed, or visualizing while you're on the court. It doesn't understand the difference between the visual and real life. So just like with anything, right? And the topic belief before evidence kind of stem from, what elite athletes have done throughout history, right? Whether it's Kobe at 14, right, believing that he would be one of the best long before his physical evidence was there to say that and declare that. Same with Michael Jordan, Federer, Nadal, name them, right? Ben Johnson, although he would probably never go on camera and say something like that. But believing at that next level long before your physical capabilities are there to match up, that is visual. That is visual imagery in itself, to create a picture in your mind on where you're saying you want to go, right? And I'm not, by no means am I saying, okay, 3-0, I need you to visualize becoming a 6'5", and this is going to happen in 6 months. Of course not, right? It's within our level, but creating that GPS in our minds to help guide where we want to go, and then how we want to physically train and tap into all that micro. Like we can't get somewhere without knowing where the hell we want to go. And if we do, it's just going to take so much longer, right? Like, you think Kyle is where Kyle is on accident, right? Like, he may or may not say it in front of the camera, but the dude had crazy visions, crazy visuals / goals. And then he goes on the court and grinds his face off to get there, right? They have to play hand in hand. Otherwise, we're just going to be in that hamster wheel for life.
And you talk about both the physical and the mental. Is one more important than the other, or do they go hand in hand?
They have to go hand in hand, right? Like, we can't just say, I want you to sit on your couch and I want you to visualize that success and then just wait, right? Eat your bonbons and wait. So we can't do that. But at the same time, I can't just say, just go out on the ball machine or go play rec or drill with Kyle, right? And just grind your dinks. And that's going to somehow transform you into playing your best in the intense pressure moments, right? Because we're talking about, you can drill and become a great driller, but how can we take those drills and implement those into pressure-filled, intense moments? You have to have both. I think the mental is more difficult. I think it's tougher because so many head games and the self-talk and everything, all the stories we've made up about ourselves. It takes a while to kind of change those, but definitely both important.
Here's a question that a viewer asked: can improving the physical grow the belief?
Yes.
And how?
So yes, so you can train and you can work and you will get results. And obviously it's like compound interest in the bank, right? The more you train, the more confident you're going to feel. But at the same time, because here's what I believe. I believe confidence is a choice. Like, I may miss 5 thirds in a row, but I'm not going to lose confidence in my third if I've trained. I just missed 5 in a row. So you can't strip the confidence away from me, because I can choose to be confident. There's nothing you can do, an opponent, that's going to strip confidence away from it. Right. So yes, you can train yourself into a higher level of belief, but you can also create visions and create intentions before you step out on the court that can also compound those.
When we talk about confidence in ourselves, what I find with a lot of players out there, I wrote an article last year that basically says is, in order to improve your game, you got to be willing to lose. Yeah. And what I really meant by that is a lot of players get on the courts and they just want to win a game rather than improve their skill sets. Yeah. So a lot of players, and I'm sure you've seen and experienced the same thing, is that they're not trying to improve their skill set, not so much from losing the game as much as they don't want to disappoint their partner. Right. They hit a shot that they went for and it went to the net, and they're thinking, oh, my partner's going to think I don't even know how to play. They don't want to play with me anymore. and then they don't really go for it anymore. What would you say to that player that is going through that mental state?
So again, I think it's about prioritizing the correct topic, right? I think prioritizing growth. If you're prioritizing growth, you're just going to have to lose a little bit. You're just going to have to play worse for a little bit. And players say all the time, and I want to improve, right? I want to improve this shot or this philosophy or these decisions. You know, I'm going to go out and wreck, and I'm going to work on that game. I'm going to work on those skills. And they do until they get down 2-8, right? No, hell no. I'm going to stop working now because I prioritize winning over my growth, right? We do it. I've done it. We all do it, right? Yeah. So during practice and during rec, so not to fall into the W and L trap, you have to go all in on the things you're working in order to improve them, right? And let the W's and L's just be where they are during practice. Now, during a tournament, right, you do what you got to do to win that point. If that means, you know, you don't work on anything that you practice, that's right. Fine. But there's no way to improve without fighting through that struggle and pain of growth. Like, and that's where people stop growing because they hit the wall. Because look, Brett, it's one thing. This is what fascinates me just beyond. It's one thing to want to do something, right? It's one thing to want to grow and improve, and I want to hit that shot. And then it's another thing to get punched in the mouth during the process and continue going through the blood that's trickling, right? Or the 111. God, I've never lost and lose 2-11, 5-11 for 3 weeks in a row to players you've never lost to before because you're playing the long game. Because in 5 months, I'm going to be at a level that I've never been at because I endured a ton of that struggle.
Because you are playing the long game. It's not that just that one specific win or loss that particular day. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I run into a lot of players that, and I was asked this question a while back. When you're drilling with someone, like I've had many players that when you drill with them, you would be thinking, oh my God, you're a 5-0. Your drilling is amazing, right? From the baseline, the drops go right into the kitchen, beautiful shots. But the moment a game starts, it goes, oh my God, you can't even hit a pickleball over the net. What happens? Do you run into people like that?
All the time, right? I mean, it's just it's nature. And here's what many people drill incorrectly because, and this is the whole point. Like, and don't get me wrong. Obviously, you have to drill for technique. You got to come out there and just say, you know what, I'm just gonna refine my technique, right? But unfortunately, and then I'll play some. But unfortunately, players drill the technique, and they might play a couple games here, you know, a couple points here and there. They spend so much time on improving technique, but not spending the time playing games within that technique, right? When you're drilling one, like I will not, and even in the ball machine, I have to do it. I have to play imaginary games with myself to try to incorporate the technique, right? When you're one-on-one with the partner, compete. Like you can drill, and we're going to do 500 dinks in a row. But then now we got to do that, and now we're playing, right? And now I'm gonna play with that intense, and I'm gonna feel that pressure, and I'm gonna try to stay improving while trying to beat you at the same time, right? So you got to practice and align your technique with pressure moments. Otherwise, you will feel like you've never played when you step out onto the tournament court.
Well, let me ask you this. My first part of the question will have to do with recreational play, and then we'll go into tournament play.
Okay.
When you're playing recreationally, mentally, what's going through your head? What's your game plan going? If I invited you over and say, hey, Dane, the four of us, let's start playing. Let's get some good games in. When you get on that court, what's going through your mind mentally in regards to your game plan?
So it starts the day before. It starts the night before. If I know I'm going into a rec game, I will choose two, and I'll choose two intentions, two shots I really want to work on, two patterns, two concepts. I don't go beyond two, and I think I can do more than one, right? If I try to get into three things, it's just too much. So I'll start visualizing literally the night before as I'm going to bed, those patterns that I want to bring into the rec game. And so every time I have that pattern or shot selection, I won't miss it, right? It won't go past me because I'm being super intentional. So that's right. And then I'm driving to the thing and I'm replaying what that looks like in my mind. here's the pattern, here's what I want to incorporate, here's the shot. When it's here, I want to take it, right? And I try to just allow my mind to go 100% into those visuals. And then, you know, when those shots aren't there, just play the way I play. Right? Just do what I do. But when they come, this is what I said, this is what I want to work on, right? And then it comes, Brett, as if you're competitive, then you got to play tug of war with, okay, I'm working on that flip, or I'm working on that inside out 1-2, but I really want to beat Brett. Like, I just don't. So then it comes to that, you know, it comes back to that tug of war between the working on the things and trying to win. Because if you only go into the win, you'll never push into those things you're trying to work on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And you talked about, if the shot is there, you want to work on a shot. The shot is there and you miss it. And then you miss it a second time. And then you miss it a third time.
Yeah.
Are you still going after that shot?
Of course now, if I'm making the right decision, right? Because there's the, is it a technical mistake or is it a decision mistake? If it's a technical mistake, yes, I got to keep hitting it because I got to figure it out. If it's a decision mistake, you know, I still might and try to figure out, oh, that was a little too low to flip that, or that was still trying to work those details out all the time in rec. Otherwise, listen, you just can't break through into that next shot or pattern or philosophy you're trying to get to if you don't, you know, find the wiggle room and play tug of war with the misses. You have to just keep going, right?
Absolutely.
But it is hard because you want to win, right? But you know, the experience says if you only go to the win, you're just going to remain where you are.
Okay, now let's transcend to a tournament. Here you are, we're at nationals. How are you prepared for the tournament player mentally? How are you preparing for that tournament? Do you have butterflies when you're on the court? What are you playing in a day before? Are you playing in weeks before? What's the game plan for Dane?
So for Dane, for me, right? And this is super
just for you.
I'm psycho OCD on my routines and rituals, how I get prepared, like to the crazy, stupid next level. Because I just believe the more preparation you put in, the better you're going to perform, right? And everybody does it differently. I talked to Wes, you know, last week, and he needs to be that way. And then he says Kyle can just, you know, just walk on the court and do his thing. So everybody's different, right?
Right.
But for me, when it's a week out for a tournament, I go into another mode. I go into tournament mode. Now I'm not working on shots now. Now I'm working on tournament mentality, tournament intensity during my rec. I'm not necessarily trying to hit new shots. I'm trying to improve the shots and the movement and things that I'm working on that I'm going to implement into the tournament. Right. So when a week out hits, something clicks. I'm kind of grumpy, right? I'm nervous and I'm excited, but I kind of get grumpy because I just want it to start. And then I'm really OCD on visualizations before I go to bed. And when I wake up, I want to see patterns that I want to accomplish and how to defend. And I see certain shots. Tournament day, I will not walk on the court until I spend 10 minutes visualizing match point. And this is super important just for me. I see match point in my mind, partner serving, we play out the point, and I finish with my paddle. I always finish with my paddle. I want to win the match. I just want to put that into my mind. And then I visualize winning the match on my serve and hitting third. And that's the last thing I see before, you know, when my name is called, I spend time and then we go, and never walk on the court without seeing match point played out the way I want it to play out. And for me, that I've just always done that with tennis and basketball, and I'm just crazy OCD. If I walk on the court without visualizing match point, I feel like I have not played. I mean, I feel like
I love it. And just to remind the audience out there, if you have any questions for Dane, write them in. We're going to take a look and we're going to try and have them answer some of your questions. Here's my question. You're in a tournament now and you're losing. You're getting beat. You're getting killed. What's going on through the head? What's the strategy there?
The first question is why, right? So obviously there's the timeout piece, right? And it's even before that. You've come with my partner and I have talked about how we first the game plan and then possible adjustments to the game plan, right? So if we're getting smoked, obviously it's a timeout, and then we just know what's going on, where we're trying to constantly adjust in real time and try to, because I firmly believe there's a counter for everybody's recounter. And it doesn't mean you'll successfully execute it, but every match is just a puzzle. And we're trying to find and fit we're trying to be the last team to fit, the team to fit the last piece of that puzzle. And so it's this constant chess match of, okay, we're down, we're down 2-6. Why? What's the puzzle piece, right? What are we missing? Right? And it's just this constant tug of war. But there's no lack of confidence. There's no lack of belief. Like, you can't strip that, right? And you can out execute us, and you're gonna, like, I'm walking on the court against Ben in singles, and I'm gonna be confident as hell, but I'm never gonna beat him, right? But it doesn't mean I lack belief. It just means he's better, right? So I think it's just this constant readjustment, Brett, like just the ability to, in real time with your partner, find that last puzzle piece. That's just
great.
That's all. Because
love it.
The physical, like, the piece is the physical, but trying to find it is the mental aspect, right? You're just not going to break us. You might beat us, but you're just not going to mentally break us.
They're not going to break you down. Yeah. I love it. I have a question from the audience. Here's the question that says, how mentally tough do you have to be to pump out a great TikTok video every day during quarantine? Always trying to top the one from the day before.
That's funny. You know what? Honestly, like, on a serious note, like, to be disciplined to do that, I don't always want to do that, because now I'm getting, now it's funny. Now just everybody's, making fun and stuff. And you just sometimes you just say, I just want to stop, right? I just, I don't want to piss people off and bother people. But it's, it's all about, during these times of uncertainty that we're in, I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of love that you're doing. Right. And I just think, like, let's just be stupid and silly, not take ourselves too seriously. Right?
Life is too short. Let's have fun.
Have some fun, right? Yeah. Put on some lipstick, wear your wife's robe, and act a fool.
Here's another question from an audience member. It says, Dane, I feel with myself and many others, one of the biggest challenges is actually focusing on what we're trying to improve. It's so easy to let the mind wander. Any thoughts on this?
That's so difficult, right? But again, it's a skill set. So it's about putting in those reps. People talk about the physical reps and the sprints and, running and lifting, but it's the same exact concept for the mental game. You have to put in mental reps. So when we say, we're talking off air and you say, you give me that question on a phone call, then we're going to go into, like, where does your mind wander to? What's it focused on? Usually it's, I hope I don't miss. I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to let it's all about what I don't want to do. So then it's just training yourself to focus on that picture and create an intention of what it is you want to accomplish, either be the shot or some pattern or strategy, and then just train yourself constantly to go into that mode. Because you can't do both. You can't go into, I hope I don't miss, but be super intentional about making this. You can't do both. So if you do nothing, the brain is trained, you're built, the brain is default to go to the negative because it wants to protect you, right? So we have to rewire that and practice and just constantly put in reps of the intention we want, what that intention looks like, and just keep repping it. Here's the thing though, we're always going to wander. Federer wanders, Ben wanders. But what they do better than most is when they wander, they come back. They come back soon, and they wander less. And what do they do? They go from, I hope I don't miss, or just losing focus to, okay, what did I say? What did I want? I want this. This is our strategy. This is our pattern. This is our game plan. And they just lock back in. But don't think that you're never going to wander again. We're going to wander forever. We just learn how to get it back sooner by putting in those reps, mental reps.
And that makes a lot of sense. In my early days, and even today, a lot of times I'll make a mistake and I'll go, Brett, look at the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. And then the next shot, look at the ball. I just told myself 8 times, look at the ball. Yeah. And it's maybe I have more wandering than some of the other players. So let me ask you, in closing, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you for your entertaining videos on Facebook. We love them. Everyone loves them. I think as our pickleball community, we are just wanting so much to get back on the courts.
Yeah.
And it's going to be soon. I've always said that pickleball players are the nicest, kindest people in the world.
Yes.
And we all love each other and we all support each other. And thank you for being here and giving us this great mental wisdom. Because there are a lot of coaches out there, and a lot of the coaches do focus on the physical aspect of the game. How can coaches better implement your blueprint in their coaching?
So I'm a big believer in staying within your wheelhouse, right?
Okay.
And not being who you're not, right? It doesn't mean that as a mental performance that I don't have some physical skills to share. And it doesn't mean as a primary physical coach and mechanical coach, like a Tyson or a Morgan or Mark or DJ, whoever, like they don't have the skills to teach, right? For sure. But I think it's just really important to stay true to who you are. And if you want to learn more about that, like reach out to the person or the people who is, in their wheelhouse, right? And I want to reach out to those who know much more than me about the physical implementation of certain skill sets. I want to reach out to those people all the time. And I just was messaging Simone yesterday. Hey, Simone, what do you think about this? What do you think? Because her experience, you'd be crazy. So I think it's important to implement some mental game strategies, but, never fear reaching out to those people who that is their wheelhouse, and stay true to who you are and what your wheelhouse is and what you do best, but also, be unafraid of reaching out, for some assistance at the same time.
Makes sense. Dane, thank you so much. Time flies.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be able to invite you back and we can prolong this discussion.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll see more of your TikTok, Facebook videos.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man.
Have a good day.
Hey, you too.
Thank you. I think our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be Dave from CBD. We're going to talk about VitaFlow Sport. And let's see if we can get Dave online. I'll tell you a quick story about his product really quick. Not only do I use it, this is going to be, we won't spend a whole lot of time, but this is such valuable information. Let me see if I can get Dave. Yeah?
Hey, you know what? I sent you a schedule change on that sheet. So just drop into a giveaway right now.
Okay.
And then do that, and then I'll be on later. And then introduce the
Okay. What am I want to give away? Okay, I've got some new. I must be still live here, but I'm talking to you. What am I giving away? Okay, I'm going to do a giveaway, and then we'll do the I Will Survive video. Okay, so here we are. We're going to do a giveaway. Julie, I'm going to Peless, P-E-L-E-S-S. Congratulations, you won a VitaFlow Sport Pro Pack. And I don't know if you can see the product here, but this is what it looks like. The pack is, one is a spray. Let me see if I can get that on, and one is a cream. And these are items that, matter of fact, at the last tournament when Kyle Yates he had a bad back, we talked earlier, and in regards to that, I sprayed some of that stuff on him. I've got a friend of mine that is he's about 77 years old, was going to go into back surgery, very concerned about it, showed him the product, VitaFlow Sport, and he canceled his surgery. I was playing pickleball in Casa Grande, Arizona, and the guy was playing, he was kind of hunched over. He had serious back issues. About an hour after play, I went to his place and I said, can I try something on you, see if it works? And he said, sure. Gave him the spray, gave him the cream. 2 hours later, he came up to me and said, where can I get some of that? I've tried everything. When you offered me to try it, I figured it would be like everything else, and it didn't work, but yours, I was in the grocery store and the pain went away. So VitaFlow Sports has some great products. And Julie, you win a Sport Pro Pack. Greg Spicer, you also win a Sport Pro Pack as well. And then Mark Austin, Pickleball Rocks, is going to give you a certificate, a gift certificate. So congratulations out there to everyone. We're going to now introduce to you the We Will Survive video. And you're going to want to watch this video. And it should be popping up any moment now. It's coming. Everyone, this is Brett Noel, and I am excited to be with you here today. I have with me Morgan Evans, Steve Taylor, and Rodney Grubbs, and we're going to be talking about the We Will Survive video and fundraising efforts going on today. Morgan, how did this all start?
G'day, Brett. How are you, mate?
Doing great, mate.
Well, honestly, it all started with a lack of sleep. During tough times, and I think we can agree these are, some of, if not the toughest times any of us are going to experience. I tend to do a lot of writing, and usually my mind just turns over while I'm sleeping, and this was something that was waking me up every morning at 2 or 3 o'clock, something I needed to kind of express myself in a way. Poetry is obviously a great way to do that. And at the same time, I wanted to find a way to help the cause. It's difficult for anybody out there to really know what they can be doing aside from setting a good example in times like this. So
absolutely,
2 or 3 mornings straight where I couldn't really sleep until I wrote down what I was feeling, and it kind of just flowed from there. And as soon as I'd written it, I read it to myself, and it kind of moved me. So I recorded it and sent it over to my man, Steve Taylor.
Steve Taylor, you were inspired. So many of us want to do something, and you actually did it. And so I commend you for that. That's great. I love it. Steve, what's your role in this?
Well, I'm in the media production field. I do a lot of media and pickleball, and I work with Morgan on the Coach Me Pickleball stuff, producing the videos. And he kindly got me involved and asked me to create a visual and some music to this so we can kind of make a piece out of it. We wanted to create something that was kind of inspiring and a message of hope. And so I listened to his audio and was incredibly inspired. Went and did a bunch of music editing and just created the graphics. It's very simple. I didn't want to get the visuals to get in the way of the message. So we just wanted to have the words on the screen and the music to kind of match that tone of the piece. And so I was just privileged to be involved and to kind of finish it off and create a video that hopefully impacts people in great ways.
It's an amazing video, something that we all need to watch. Rodney, how did Pickleball Rocks get involved?
Well, Brett, like a lot of other people right now, I spend way too much time on Facebook. And so
yeah.
Late one night, I'm on Facebook, and all of a sudden I see this post come up of this video, and I click on it, and it happens to be from Morgan Evans. And literally it was a 2-minute video, a short video that when it got to the end, it flashed on the screen, "We will survive."
Yeah, absolutely.
And that whole video just hit me in such an inspiring way that I didn't call the Pickleball Rocks team. I didn't call anybody. I literally hit Morgan up with a private message, and I said, "Morgan," I said, "that video is amazing. It touched me in such a great way. What would you think about putting a t-shirt behind that and actually using it to raise some funds for the COVID-19 cause?" And it wasn't minutes. Now remember, this was late at night. I had no idea where Morgan was, but within minutes, Morgan comes back on that private message and says, "Mate, I'm in. What do we need?"
Absolutely.
So, it was that easy. And I told him right away, I said, "Hey, we'll take the Pickleball Rocks clothing company. We'll put us behind this thing. We'll get the shirts made for you. We'll get them out there to people, and we'll give all the profits to the cause." And literally within a couple days, we had the whole project up and ready to roll out.
Well, that is amazing. I almost call that serendipity. It's meant for you two guys, all three of you guys, to get together to make this happen. the benefit, not only pickleball players, but their friends and family and the community as a whole. Where are the profits going to, Morgan?
So they're going to the Center for Disaster Philanthropy, the COVID-19 Response Fund. I did a bit of research in various fundraising efforts towards COVID-19, and after looking at this one, I really thought it was a good match for what we were trying to do, and the message we're trying to send in that, together we can beat this. And they have a great sort of hub and spoke system. So they attract a lot of donors, and they've really attracted some big names. Coca-Cola, Google,
wow.
The PGA Tour have all kicked in a lot of money. And then what they do is they distribute it to various nonprofit organizations that are really working against COVID-19 at the front lines. So it's really working for the first responders, people affected, and their families, obviously. So it was a great fit, and we're so happy to be a part of it and able to donate towards this cause.
Well, we are blessed to have you all as a part of this. Let me ask you a question. In the end, what do you guys want to see happen with this? Rodney, can you respond to that maybe?
Yeah, I think I can. I mean, I think if the video touches people in the way that I think it's going to, and Morgan intended for it to, literally it's just going to bring a message of hope for everybody. But when everybody is able to get back out on the pickleball courts and everybody gets back together again, I think the new normal out there is just going to be a much more unified pickleball community, and hopefully the community at large as well.
Oh, I agree. Morgan, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, for me, just trying to put some smiles on people's faces, warm some hearts out there if possible, and promote the idea that, united we can get over this. We can get through to the other end. And for anybody who wants to buy the shirt, knows that they're going to be helping a fantastic cause.
It is a fantastic cause, and united, we will get through this. How do people take part in this amazing opportunity? Steve, maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you can see the video on the Coach Me Pickleball YouTube page, or you can go to our website. I'll put the address there on the screen. And the video will have some information at the end on how you can get in touch with Pickleball Rocks. There's a link on our website. The people can go right to Pickleball Rocks and buy the shirt. I'm wearing one right here. Just got mine yesterday. Super excited about it.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. And watch the video. Share it with all your friends, please, everywhere you can. We want this to be a viral effect, and we want people to have a place to make a difference, basically, and to just be inspired. So check it out, check the video out, and go to Pickleball Rocks and buy your shirt. All the proceeds go to the COVID-19 Response Fund. We're not taking a dime, and we're excited to be involved.
And that's one of the greatest things about what is happening right now. This is a way that we are giving love to the community, giving back to our pickleball community. I urge everyone to go to the website, check out Pickleball Rocks, buy a t-shirt, and give back.
When the dust has cleared and the streets are filled, we'll take a moment for victory and cheer, for the time we chose to stand up and sit 6 feet apart, I hear. If we unite and fight, we'll learn to survive this contamination, this abomination. I don't know why. Why here? Why now? Now's not to ask the reason why. Our job now is just to survive. The rock won't save you, and I can't tell you where's the toilet paper to buy or where's the bunker to hide. For a little while longer, to ponder, to second guess your choices, or voices to tune into, or words to subscribe to, memes to share and posts to like. And if you're in the market for a silver lining, then this is the best I can give you. This is that time, that glorious sense that every man, woman, and child unites for a minute to fight to survive on the same side for the same reason. To raise our hands and flip the bird at a hell of a flu season. The fear could unite us, or sure it could divide us. Now is not the time. We don't all have much time to rise above with the ones who care and the ones you love. Now's the time for your favorite wine, that delicious Cab Sav, or that Pinot Grigio that just calls your name. Enjoy the couch, learn to cook, remember the games you played when all your friends came and stayed. Somewhere along the lines we forgot how to talk. The art of conversation became a blur of emojis, not the celebration it once was, not the glue that entertained us, or the fuel that sustained us. We've got this. This is not impossible, it's just invisible. And if the hardest part is to be advised to wait and hide, then enjoy the ones you love, stay inside, and we will survive.
Dear friends, I know a lot of people have been affected by the coronavirus, but I also know that a lot more people want to help. As we began to see the impact this video was having on people, we realized that this would be a good time to see if we could help even further. So with a great collaboration from Coach Me Pickleball, our amazing sponsor Selkirk Sport, and our friends at the Pickleball Rocks Clothing and Equipment Company, we're making available the We Will Survive shirts with 100% of the proceeds going to the CDP COVID-19 Response Fund. The Center for Disaster Philanthropy supports preparedness, containment, response, and recovery activities for those affected and the responders. Please help us help those that need it now. Stay safe, everybody.
That is an amazing video, and our hearts go out to we all go out to Morgan and Steve and Rodney and Vitaflow and all the people that made this possible to put that video together. We love you guys for what you're doing out there for our pickleball community and everyone else. I'm excited to introduce our next guest. Lucy Kitcher is a professional pickleball player. Her topic this afternoon is poaching, when to poach and the benefits of poaching. I love this subject because I love to poach. And I also love it when my partner is poaching. So that's a great subject to have. Lucy was actually one of Gamma's first pickleball professionals. She runs tournaments, pickleball tournaments, fantastic tournaments. Her reputation for running great tournaments is out there. She plays in tournaments. Most of her tournaments are right now in Florida, other locations like Cancun, Turks, I think if I pronounce it right, Caicos, and the Dominican Republic. Medals, I can't even count how many medals she's won. So our next guest we'll bring on is Lucy, and just a dynamic player. So hopefully we'll get her on any moment now. If you have any questions for Lucy, feel free to put those in the chats. Great first day for those of you that are out there. This is the first time that we've done this, and so we're on a learning curve. I just realized that my camera is on the left side of my iPad, and all day today I've been looking over to the right side. So bear with me. We're just trying to give some value to the pickleball community out there, and I'm just doing my best. So we're going to have fun. So as soon as Lucy gets on, we're going to have a great topic in regards to poaching, and then Mark Pfeiffer is going to be right after that, and then I'll share with you tomorrow's lineup. Tomorrow's lineup is dynamic. Starting off with the great Morgan Evans in regards to whose video you just saw. His Coach Me Pickleball website, that's a site you want to go to and take a look at. I'm a member of that of his site as well because his information is so valuable. I've actually taken a lesson with him. I think all pros can learn from other pros. All coaches can learn from other coaches. And the lesson I had with him was dynamic. Just the little subtle changes that he recommended was just amazing. So right now we're just going to wait for Lucy to get on. Had a great day today. Just love these topics. Dane, who was talking about the mental aspects of the game. And I think we all know how important the mental aspect of pickleball is. we had the chance to talk about other players and what's going on, other speakers. Kyle Yates, just an amazing player. His input, I can listen to Kyle Yates all day long. I love it when he comes on the court and bounces the ball on his side of his paddle, kind of giving that subconscious message like, I'm good enough to do this. So I love watching him play and his sick tricks that he does on the courts. Hey, Lucy, is that you?
Yeah, sorry, I've been here. I didn't realize you were here. Scott Golden just texted me and said, I don't think he knows you're there.
Okay, well, it's good to see you. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Scott. Good to see you too, Brett.
Oh, that's good. Perfect. So I was just, you've only been playing for 3 years.
Actually, I've been playing pro for about 3 years. I've been playing for about 5 years now.
5 years. I love the story in regards to how you were introduced to pickleball. You were just walked on a court. And this is what I love about pickleball players. You can go to any court in America or in the world on a pickleball court, and they'll hand you a paddle and a ball and say, hey, come and try it out. And that's what happened to you.
Yep. So my daughter was at soccer practice. I was just hanging out watching, and someone said, why don't you come try pickleball? So I went over there and just fell in love with it.
As we all do. What a great sport. We're glad to have you. We just watched a video with Morgan in regards to the pandemic. What have you been doing during this pandemic?
So yeah, great job to Morgan and to Pickleball Rocks, everybody, Rodney, great job with that.
Yes.
It's a lot of money with that video. Really, really good job. So I've been home. This is day 31 for me. I know that because I'm making videos every day. Pickleball pandemic practice. We're doing a video with tips, drills if we can. Not every day, but for the most part, we've been doing drills as well. My living room is a pickleball court. So it's important to stay home. I am not the star of the show. The star of the show is right here with me. He likes to hang out.
Oh, beautiful.
So all the comments are about my dog, Scooby, not about my tips, but that's okay. So hopefully a lot of people have told me they've been practicing and getting a lot better and enjoying pickleball while they have to stay home.
Okay, wonderful.
So I've also been preparing for my next season of tournaments here in Florida. We have tournaments pretty much from October to March because it's too hot the rest of the season. So I've been schedule going with that, which you can see on Pickleball Tournaments. You just put in the search Lucy. Like you said, I ran a bunch of tournaments in South Florida, one in Camden, the Gamma Classic in Pittsburgh, and this year I'm running the Great Plains Regional in Colorado Springs as well. And,
fantastic.
And also I do pickleball trips, which are all inclusive vacations, a lot of them in Florida. $699 includes everything. So a lot of people charge that much just for clinics, but for that price, you get your accommodation, food, drink, alcohol, non-alcoholic, all the activities they have around the resort. There's a bunch of things like kayaking, paddleboarding, sailing, gym classes, you name it, they've got it. So we just go play a lot of pickleball and have a lot of fun. Those are the things that you had mentioned, the places, Cancun, Punta Cana, Turks and Caicos. I do a lot of those clinics in those places as well.
Oh, wonderful. And then you're currently sponsored by Gamma and a few others.
Yeah, so Gamma is my paddle sponsor. I play with the Mirage. This is my favorite paddle. But I actually have my own paddle coming out in the next week or so stay tuned for that. Anything, I'm on Facebook. Everything is on Lucy. My page is Lucy Kitcher Pickleball. Gamma has great paddles, great grips. I love the honeycomb grip that they have on here. When your hand is a little sweaty, your paddle doesn't get slippery. They have great equipment. I'm using their net in my living room. I use them for a lot of tournaments if we need extra net. And they have really nice ball hoppers as well. I have a couple of other sponsors as well. I just got to get Scooby out of the way. Sophie Bella is my apparel sponsor. And during the pandemic, they've been making the masks. I can't make a mask and I can't buy a mask because they're not available, but they made these masks. It's the same material they use for their clothes, really comfortable, light, and you know, everything that I'm wearing for in my tournaments and on my trips and everywhere you see, I get a lot of compliments. That's Sophie Bella, really nice Italian fabric. Really love them as well.
Nice. Now, today you're going to be talking about poaching. What the heck is poaching?
So basically, poaching is when you hit a shot which was intended for your partner. So it's a highly effective shot, but it can be frustrating for your partner if they don't really have a good understanding of the benefits. So it can be especially annoying for your partner if you poach a shot and you hit it out the back of the court or you hit it into the net. You have to look at it from your partner's perspective. They were right there, they were ready to hit the shot, and you jump in front of them and mess it up. So yeah, basically.
And so when poaching is, in essence, if I understand you right, is actually not that there's a your side and his side, but that you're actually really going into your partner's area where he is. Is it like taking his shot or?
Yeah, I think poaching is really when you're taking a shot that was aimed for your partner. A lot of times, you know, well, I'll go into that a little bit more later, but for the most part, yeah, that's poaching.
Okay, so when would be a good time to poach? You're both on the courts, ball's coming, being hit back towards your side, and you decide to poach.
So I think that if you've never tried poaching, the first time when you're trying to kind of get into it, the best time to try and poach would be when your opponents are hitting their third shot. So when your opponent serves your partner, you're already up at the net, you're already established there, and your partner is back, and your partner is moving towards the net, but you're in front of them and you're established. So since they're back and you're at the kitchen line, you can just take a step over and hit the ball, and you can make a much better shot than they'll be able to make because you're already there. So you're actually doing your partner a favor because you're giving your partner time to get up to the net so that they can be ready for the next shot. It works particularly well with the third shot because, as you know, the third shot is the hardest shot in pickleball. So it's the hardest shot to do well. So if they make a little bit of a mistake, you want to be taking advantage of that and trying to get in there and put the ball away. So really, anytime you're closer to the net than your opponent is, you're going to have a much better shot on the ball, and it reduces the time that your opponents have to react. So they'll be less likely to make a good shot. So that's another time you want to poach. Also, if your opponents are picking on one player, which happens a lot in mixed doubles,
yes,
especially at the higher level, you'll see sometimes players will ask me, they say, oh, I saw a video of you playing mixed doubles, and why didn't your partner let you play? So for the most part, players will hit all the balls to the female. So really that brings in stacking as well, which is something else as well. But you really want to try and get the guy into the game. So mixed doubles usually stack, which basically means that the female player is going to spend most of the game on the right and the guy's going to be on the left. And the female will hit most of the shots. But as soon as the ball is a little high in the middle, you know, for the most part, I'm not going to hit a high backhand because my male partner is going to be in there ready to get in there and make a good shot. So stacking is really good. If you don't know what that is, I did a couple of videos about a week ago, day 23 and 24, stacking with a lefty and stacking with a better player. So that's on Facebook on Lucy Kitcher Pickleball is the page. So that's something that's important to learn as well.
Okay, so for the players that are relatively, maybe like the 3-5 players, the 4-0 players, poaching might be defined as taking your opponent's shot in a way. You're reaching over, you're taking his shot. So their question is, like, when is a good time to poach? But maybe a better question might be, when do you not want to poach?
So yeah, we just talked about when it would be good. I would say it's not a good time to poach if the shot that you're going to hit isn't good enough for you to win the point. If you find the ball comes back to the space that you now left open, then that probably wasn't a good shot. So my advice is, if you can't hit a winner, you want to make sure you can get back for the next shot. If you're playing with a beginner or someone who you would consider just to be a rec player, someone who is just there to have fun, or someone you don't know very well, you'll want to keep the poaching to a minimum. So for the most part, most people who play pickleball are just there to have fun. And if you find yourself in a game with a lower level player, you can find other ways to get in the game. You can pitch in more towards the middle and try and take those middle shots rather than kind of jumping in front of them. They're going to think you're kind of crazy. You're going to make them uncomfortable or frustrated. So everybody really needs to understand their role on the court. In the same way, if you find that you're the player who's getting all the balls hit to you, you want to let your partner come in and help you with the middle shots. You don't want to, you want to kind of make your partner feel comfortable as well.
Absolutely. Now, you had mentioned that, when you play, sometimes especially if you're playing mix, sometimes your partner's going to poach in front of you. What should you do if your partner poaches?
So if your partner poaches, you need to try and figure out where would be the best place for you to be. So chances are, if they jump in front of you, they're going to be all the way on your side of the court. Their momentum is going to be going kind of beyond you. So you have a much better chance of getting to the other side of the court, which is the open court, which is where your opponents are going to hit to, because that's the open court. So for the most part, I think that you can get to the open court much quicker than your partner will be able to. So you want to yell switch, move over and cover your partner's side of the court, and then let them stay on your side of the court so that you can be ready for the ball that's coming back, that you can guarantee is going to be coming to that open part of the court.
Okay. So now when say you're the poacher, Lucy, you're the one that's going to be poaching. They're hitting their third shot. Before they hit their third shot, are you positioned on a certain part of the court thinking I'm going to poach?
So, okay. So it depends where the ball is hit. So if you play with somebody who you play with a lot, you kind of get to know, I might play with somebody who says, hit all your returns down the line and hit your third shots cross court. So then you know where they're going to hit the ball. But you need to wait and see where your partner hits the ball. And then based on that, you want to be moving on the court. So anytime that the ball is diagonal from you, you're going to be covering the middle. Anytime the ball is down your line, you're going to be covering your line. So when it comes to poaching, if the ball is hit diagonal from you, if your partner returns the ball and they return it down the line, it's then on your diagonal, then you can be more to the middle. If they hit the ball to your line, it's going to be an extremely difficult shot. And if they do make it, it's going to be a dink and you're going to have plenty of time to get there. So, so you can really be up at the line in the middle at the tee, and you can be right there ready, knowing that when the ball comes, if they make even the slightest mistake, you can jump in there and put more pace on the ball than if you just wait for your partner to get up there, and they might have to wait till after it bounces to be able to get a good shot.
Okay. I have a question from an audience member that says, Lucy, what happens if you try to poach, but your timing is too early?
So if you poach and you go too early, then your opponents are going to know that you're going to poach. So once they see you moving over, hopefully they're going to adjust their shot and they're going to hit it to your line, and then you're not going to be ready. So it's important. You can't, a lot of players like to kind of plan to poach. I'm going to poach this shot, but you can't really plan it until you see the shot that's coming. If the shot that's coming, you think it's one you can get over there, then great, but you can't just be ready to poach every shot.
Now, what happens when your opponent poaches a lot? How do you defend against a poacher? You know that they're going to poach. They've been poaching. How would you defend against that?
So usually that means that one player is up and one player is back, and that person who is up jumps in front and takes that ball. When you as a player hit the ball, you cannot assume that the player at the back of the court is going to hit the ball. You have to assume that somebody's going to poach, because then you will hit a different shot. if you know that somebody's going to come over and hit the ball, you can't just hit the ball deep and it be a little high. You know, you probably have to hit a third shot or put it into the kitchen so that they can't attack it back at you. Otherwise, if you aim to the back of the court and that person comes in and poaches, the ball's going to come at you very fast and you're going to have hardly any time to react. It's going to be very difficult to get that ball back. Okay.
And then what's your philosophy or what's your opinion on fake poaching? I see a lot of, I've seen a lot of pros do even fake Ernies, but also fake poaching. What's your opinion on that? Do you see much of that?
Okay, so fake Ernie. So here's an example. In mixed doubles, you know, I've done an Ernie where I've run up to my partner said to me, Ernie, the third shot, because they were hitting me all the balls. And so my partner knew it was coming to me. I didn't even run up the court. I ran up and went right off the court and I was able to Ernie that. But then on the other hand, you know, the goal of the Ernie is in mixed doubles at the high level is to get the ball to your partner. So if I go to Ernie a ball and I go too early, they're going to see, right? Your opponents are going to see what you're doing. And what are they going to do? They're going to hit to the other player. Well, that was the goal in the first place. So I achieved my goal.
Right. But like they're trying to fake, do you do any fake poaching? Do you ever go like you're going into the center and then stay there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good strategy. It's very distracting if you come across a player that's doing that.
Yes.
They're just trying to get you to hit them the ball. And for the most part, it works. But, you know, a lot of times in mix, my partner will be telling me, don't hit them the ball. Don't hit them the ball. They're just trying to fake you out to get you to hit them the ball.
That's true. An audience member asks, do you ever use signals to inform your partner of your intention to poach?
Okay, so we use signals a lot in pickleball, but we're using them more to tell our partners whether we're going to stay or switch. And that's something that we use when we're stacking. So a lot of times when we're receiving the ball, you know, I'll give my partner a signal, either stay or switch. Well, our intention with that isn't necessarily to poach. Poaching may happen as a result of that. But, you know, that's basically to get me on the right side of the court so I can stand there and dink all day with the girl until the guy can get in and do something with the ball.
So there's no necessarily a signal for poaching. It kind of is dependent in regards to where that return of serve is, where their third shot is coming from that determines where you're going to be on the court.
Well, and it depends too what your goal is. Is your goal to actually poach or do a fake switch, or yes, you know, are you doing that to get yourselves onto the other side of the court, which you don't want to do all the time. You know, a lot of times we will do a fake so they think we're going to switch. You know, they hit the ball to the side where the girl is, but we don't actually switch, so then the guy ends up over there and faster because they were at the line. So.
Fantastic. So how important would you say that a player, we deal with a lot of probably the bulk of our being a coach and seeing a lot of the tournaments that you do, we see a lot of 3-0, 3-5, 4-0 players. What percentage would you say, how that important is for them to learn the poach?
Okay, so the 3-0 players and probably the 3-5 players, I run a lot of tournaments, so I have a lot of opportunities to watch them play.
Yes.
There's a big difference between poaching and taking each other's shots. So the biggest mistake I see with those players is that they just kind of want to hit all the balls and they don't realize what they're doing, but they hit the partner's ball. You know, they might, the partner's coming up ready to put the ball away and they just get in there and hit the little backhand and the point carries on and they don't realize what they've done. You know, you need to learn that court awareness, which again is something different. That's a lower level skill, which is much more important than learning to poach. We talked earlier about how you basically have to shift over so that if the ball is diagonal from you, you're covering the middle, and if the ball goes the other way, you step over and cover your line. But a lot of players think that you just have to, when the ball is in the middle, you hit it because it's your forehand. Well, that's not the case, because if the ball is on the left side of the court, I have to shift over to the left. My partner comes into the middle, and my partner has to get the middle with their backhand. I can't be ready for the middle with my forehand because I have to concentrate on covering my line. So that's the skill that I would consider is much more important as a lower level player. I also did a couple of videos on that during the pickleball pandemic. It was day 18 and 25. One of them was moving together on the court, and the other one was kind of knowing who should get the middle. So those are the important skills to learn, definitely, before you're learning to poach.
Oh, absolutely. Here's another question from an audience member. They say, I find that I get very distracted by the opponent who is either poaching or faking a poach. I end up changing my mind about where I want to hit the ball, and you know the end result. Suggestions?
Yeah, if you just make a great shot, even if they come to do an Ernie or if they're trying to poach, it doesn't matter. If you can just make a great shot, there is nothing they can do about it. Don't target the back of the court, target the front of the court. Get the ball into the kitchen, and there's no way for them to attack the ball. Doesn't matter who hits it.
Doesn't matter. Now, would you, in your opinion, do you think that more men poach or more women poach?
I'd say definitely more men poach, because in men's doubles, you see a lot of guys poaching, but I think that for the most part, there's a lot more poaching in mixed doubles, because the guys are watching the women play, and it's a good way for them to get to the point.
Well, I love it, especially when you talk about mixed doubles. I think you're right on in regards to a lot of time the women are being attacked. But I love it when my female partner poaches. It's like, oh my, I love it. Do you like to poach as a player yourself?
In mixed doubles, I'm not going to poach because I'm getting all the balls hit to me. So I almost have to shift over a little bit, like we talked about before, and kind of let my partner have a little bit more of the middle, because that helps me make a good shot on my space that I have. And it gives them an opportunity when one comes along for them to get in the point.
Okay, perfect. I wanted to, first of all, I love your explanation of poaching, the benefits of poaching. You have such great videos and such valuable information. Where can our players, where can the pickleball community go to see some additional videos that you might have put out?
So the best place to go is Lucy Kitcher Pickleball, my Facebook page. If you go on there and you go to posts, you'll be able to see every day from day one. I started on the wall. I have the tape line. When you're in your living room, you can put up the tape and practice against the wall. Once we got to, I think, day 3, I couldn't take it anymore. I put up a net. I did a demo on how to wind the net around the post to make it smaller. They also have smaller nets that you can buy. Gamma has a smaller net which you can put on your post, but I just wound it around the post and it works just fine. So every day we kind of progress through trying to give people drills and things to practice, because really drilling is the way to get better at playing pickleball. So if you tried practicing, somebody posted a comment, Melody Woodson posted a comment about, are you going to be better or worse after the pandemic? Well, if you're at home drilling, you're going to be better.
Yes, absolutely. Lucy, thank you for your time. Thank you for the valuable information that you share with our community. And we look forward to seeing you on the courts. We look forward to your tournaments, and we look forward to your getaway vacation pickleball.
Thanks,
so
Brett.
We'll, have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. That was great to hear from Lucy. She's an amazing player, great tournaments, great reputation. Our next speaker, Mark Pfeiffer, and his topic, everyone wants to be a referee, they just don't know it yet. Being a referee will improve your game. So we are going to wrap this day up today with an amazing referee. Mark is the director of officiating for the USAPA. He was selected as the USAPA's first director of officiating in April of 2019. He is responsible for referee selection, training, and development. He also serves as the chairman of the USAPA Rules Committee. He started his pickleball career in 2015 after retiring as the Chief Operating Officer of the Ohio Valley Electric Corporation. Just an amazing gentleman with an amazing amount of knowledge. So hopefully we'll just get Mark on here really quick. I love his topic about everyone wants to be a referee, they just don't know it yet. And if you've ever refereed, you know what a hard job it is. And we have a lot of respect for the referees that are out there helping us, helping the tournaments, helping the games go smooth. It's hard work. I've done a lot of refereeing. I've seen a lot of our great referees out there, have a lot of respect for them. And so next time, if you're on a tournament and you see a referee on the court, walk up to them and just say, thank you. We appreciate what you do for refereeing during this tournament. Because you're refereeing, you're standing on hard concrete, and you're focused on making the game go smooth. You know, hey, listen, referees don't like to call kitchen violations, but they have to sometimes. Usually every time I go into a tournament and the referee comes on, I always let the referee know that they don't have to look at my feet, that I never have kitchen violations. But for some reason, they keep looking at my feet and they keep calling me on my foot violations. So hopefully we'll have Mark up here in a moment.
I'm here.
There he is. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Brad, good to see you. You gave me a tough act to follow here. Lucy Kitcher, good grief.
Oh, she's an amazing player, amazing coach, just amazing pickleballer. So yeah, we're so blessed today to have some great people. And Mark, we're blessed to have you on here. I love your topic. Everyone wants to be a referee. They just don't know it yet. I love it. I've got a bunch of questions because I had some audience members send them to me. The first question that they asked was, what are some of the hardest calls to make as a referee?
I think if you ask that question, you'll get a different answer from every referee that you ask that of. But I think from my perspective, the toughest call that I've ever have to make is when somebody's doing an ernie, a right-handed player doing an ernie, and I'm on this side of the net, and they're coming at me. So they're taking a backhand with their right hand. And oftentimes part of their back is to me. So I don't see their launch foot, and I may not even see their foot that they actually, end up on, the feet on as I jump that corner. So for me, as an experienced referee, that's always the toughest call that I have to make, an ernie coming right at me, whether it's a backhand or a forehand shot that they're taking. I think for players, for new referees, probably the one that we have the toughest time teaching them how to look for is that push-off non-volley zone fall. So, when and you see this with very athletic, very tall, typically players, because they think they can get to any overhead, right? Any lob, they're tall enough they can get to anything, right? So you see them, step into the non-volley zone, then they leap in the air, they hit the ball, and they hit it before they've reestablished outside the non-volley zone. And so that's the toughest thing probably for a new referee to get used to watching the non-volley zone, because if you watch it, you'll find that Brett Knoll does that.
Yes, he does. He does. And so like something like that, they might get a soft dink into the kitchen. One foot goes into the kitchen.
Right.
They dink it back over. The ball goes over their head. They step out of the kitchen with their back foot, jump up and hit it. Violation, because 2 feet weren't established.
So the skill that we have to develop in all referees is what you were just talking about before you kicked it to me, and that is the eye discipline that you have to have on the non-volley zone. And even for experienced referees, we'll go to the national championships, we'll get on center court, right? We're excited because, we're right there, right with the players. And we want to watch the play. One of the reasons we became referees is to be there during the high level play, right? So
right on the court.
Right on the court, you're right there. So what's really fun is to be there, but then realize I can't watch this game. I got to watch feet. So it's kind of a juxtaposition of the player versus the referee, what you have to watch. So we're watching feet just to see whether or not they have that launch, just to see if you have the momentum come in after the volley into the non-volley zone. But that's probably the hardest thing to teach new referees, Brett, is that eye discipline where you have to watch all the time.
Which you're looking at the feet, where they really want to see the dynamic action going back and forth up here.
Well, here I say I share this with all of my referee students. You want to see a really good referee, watch their head when the play is at the non-volley zone. If you see their head doing this, then you know they're not watching for that. I just had I just sent out to all of the certified referees in the country. We have 201 certified refs. And I sent out a little video clip just this past week. It's a 9-second video clip of a referee on center court at Nationals in November. And it was, I think it was the men's doubles bronze level match, if I remember correctly. But it was so good because the referee was Rum Schaefer. Some people know Joe Rum Schaefer. And the reason I sent that out is because his head is deadlocked on that non-volley zone, including when the ball goes, over everybody's head. He's right there watching. So it's a great video clip, a great instruction. So I sent it out to everybody so they could share it with all their students. It's really good stuff.
Keep your head down. Keep your head down. Why do players become referees, and what's in it for the average player?
Well, again, every person, my story and your story, because like you ref, Brad, I've watched, I've shared that with you. You're a darn good ref, and we're glad to have your ref when it comes around. Everybody has their own story. I have my own story, but I'll tell you I think the reason what it's in for the average player, and I like to market it this way. When I market my classes to come to a referee, I say, come to the class and learn what secrets the referees know. What do we know that the players don't know?
Right.
So there's about, I have a teaching partner, Bob Patton. He's the referee training coordinator for all of California and Hawaii. He and I used to teach a lot of referee classes together, and that was our marketing play. That's how we got people into the class, right? Because who wants to go to a referee class? Who wants to spend 3 hours in a course listening to referee mundane stuff? So we have to make it interesting. And one of the things that we do to make it interesting is have people come in and learn these secrets. And there are certain secrets that we know as referees. You have a certain knowledge base that no other player has because you do referee.
Right.
So there were about 9 of these things we called our Pfeiffer patent tips, or patent Pfeiffer PP tips. And by the time everybody left the class, there's 9, 10 things that I'm guaranteed most people have learned for the very first time, and they've been playing for 2 or 3 years. So those kinds of little techniques and tricks that we teach them is what's in it for the average player to learn how to become a better player. I guarantee you come to a class that's taught by a registered USAP registered referee trainer. You're going to learn some things in that class that will prevent you from losing a point and allow you to gain a point because you know the rules better than your opponents, or in some cases, even more than a ref. So
I love that. The one question that audience member asked about, like, why do people become referees? I'll share a quick story with you. I was down in the desert in a tournament, and I was in the gold medal match. As soon as that gold medal match was done, unfortunately, I didn't win the gold, I won the silver. But as soon as that was done, I was on the courts refereeing the next match. And a player came up to me who I've never met before, and he says, I couldn't tell, I wasn't unsure if you were a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know why he was even thinking that, or what type of person you are. He goes, but I saw you in the gold medal match. As soon as that game was done, you were out there refereeing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, of course, why aren't all players there doing the same thing? It's about giving back.
Exactly.
It's about giving back to the other players. It's about giving back to the tournament director. It's about giving back to the sport of pickleball. So I love that.
No, that's a great story, and everybody and every referee's got their own personal story. Mine, started here in Oceanside, California. It was the March Madness tournament of 2016, I think it was. And the call went out on a PA system that every tournament director dreads to have to make any available referees please come to the referee desk, right? You hate that.
Yeah.
And so I was relatively new to the game. So, well, heck, I'll go try it. So I go over there, get my score sheet. I had no idea what I was doing, right? And I'm just like, I think anybody knew. I didn't know what to do with these numbers. Do I circle them, put X's through them? So I just made it up on the fly. I get out there, and thankfully I had 4 women. They were really cool about it. But I got into a place where we had the wrong score. We didn't know how far back we could go to recover the right score, right? So I get everybody together. We make up a solution, the 5 of us, and off we go. And then I find out I blew it. Here I'm the referee. I completely blew it. Didn't know the rule. And so at that point, that's what caused me to say, okay, that's never happening again. It won't happen as a referee, and it won't happen.
Right.
And so at that point, it was kind of self-preservation. I realized that I knew the rules now better than most players I was playing with, even recreationally, let alone.
Right.
And so, and I think that's kind of the path that most referees take. It's kind of like, well, heck, if I'm going to play this game, it's just like playing cards. You don't go play cards you don't go play poker without knowing the rules.
Right.
There's a flush, take it over a straight. You got to know that stuff. Same thing with pickleball. You should know the rules if you're going to play.
Well, absolutely. What's the biggest misconception players have about what referees are supposed to do on the court?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. We have a list we have a referee handbook. It's kind of the Bible on how you do what you're supposed to do as a referee. And on page 1 of that document is a list of referee responsibilities. And I bring that out, and every class, within the first 2 minutes of every referee class that I teach, I take everybody to page 1 of the referee handbook. It's section A, if I remember right. And number 8 on that list is dealing with line call appeals.
Yeah.
Most people that play pickleball, at least newer players, think that the referees out there keep the score, obviously keep control of the match, but high on that list is dealing with line call appeals. No, it's number 8 on the priority list.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of other things there. So that's why some players get frustrated with the referee when they say, no, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Well, the reason they didn't see the call go to the back line, to the end line, is because guess what? What we've already talked about, their eyes are on the non-volley zone.
Exactly.
And they're not watching that by design. Who is watching that line? Well, the players are. They're making that call, or a line
right.
Have them. So
the misconception is that referees need to see every shot,
right,
and agree with every one of my challenges.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
which for some reason doesn't happen to me all the time. What would you say is the hardest skill to develop as a referee?
That eye discipline, and the non-volley zone. Yeah, without a doubt. And so one of the things that we're trying to do when people come into the class is, what can we do? I just found out we've got a certified referee. When they teach this, they take 2 paddles and just put like like horse blinders, So you have to, so you can't see what's going on. And then I've got another trainer who gets permission first and just puts the head, hand on the back of the hedge and make sure they don't, move it to watch the ball. So these kinds of techniques and training is what we really do. I get out there and I'll get with a referee and I say, okay, look, for the next 2 points or the next 3 or 4 points, when the ball goes in, after the ball is served, now as a referee, you got to watch the ball bounce, right? And it's got to come back and bounce again. You got to make sure those 2 bounces happen. So you can follow those because there's nothing going on in that ball.
Right.
Everybody's making their way up, right? So I'll go and stand right next to my trainee, and as soon as I want them to look in the non-volley zone, I'll point right on the court. So just follow my hand until I can back off. So it's a technique. You got to get, just like anything else, it's a habit you have to develop. But once you've developed the habit, you're going to be a really good referee, and the players will appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number one, if players know that their opponents are creating foot faults or jumping the corner on an ernie and not clearing it, they're gonna get angry and frustrated if the referee's not calling it, right? So that's why we have to develop these skills in the referee so they know what to look for and when. I think the other thing that's skill that's important and hard to develop at the higher levels of refereeing for the pro players is what to look for to determine tendencies. So if you talk to some of the top-notch referees, we all watch videos. We'll get to the tournaments early. We'll come out and watch Brett Knoll. If we know, if we think you're in the bracket, we might get, 2 or 3, we're down the queue, 2 or 3, we'll come out and watch. And we'll look for tendencies. And some of us can get pretty good picking up when Ben Johns is going to, cut the corner.
Right.
Yeah, so those tendencies are important. And I think the players appreciate the fact that we do that because it just makes for a better game.
And you want to watch me because you know that I don't ever make any faults. So you don't just look at my opponent's feet. Look at my opponent's feet, not at me. You know, I play a lot, as you know, I play a lot of tournaments around the country.
Right.
I like the consistency in regards to the referees. So whatever match I'm going to play next, it's nice to know that this referee is what I can expect from the referee. What is the USAPA doing in regards to creating that consistency among referees in the sport?
Yeah, so we used to have different training going on in different parts of the country. This is 2 or 3 years ago. We've kind of standardized some of the training that's important. We developed a level 1, level 2 referee program. So before you become a certified referee, you've got to come through that hierarchy. So you get exposed to a lot of role models, a lot of coaches, a lot of examples. And all of us that are all teaching from the same playbook. So by the time you get to the end, you should be doing the same kinds of things that we're doing. It's probably one of the toughest things to do is how do you get everybody on the same page consistency-wise. So the people that came through the program 3 years ago have a different, they learn differently than what we're teaching now. So that's one of the things that we're doing with the certified refs is we're putting together a series of, we call them continuing education programs.
Wow, okay.
Classes for all the certified refs that then trickles down to the level 1s and level 2s.
Right.
But I don't want to say that we're always going to be the same. In this game, there's always going to be judgment calls. Those are some of the toughest things to deal with.
Yeah.
So, the referee next to me may have a different philosophy on what kind of language he's going to allow on the court. I have a different threshold, right?
Right.
So those kinds of things are going to be tough. When somebody starts trash talking, when do you step in? So you may get away with it over there, but you're not going to get away with it over here. So those kind of judgment calls are the ones that are really tough to get a measure of consistency. But we'll get there over time.
What would you say is some of the most misunderstood rules in pickleball right now?
Yeah, that's a great. That's a touchdown there. I think the biggest misunderstanding probably came to light this year when we took out that diagram. We had a diagram in the 2018 and 19 rule book. It was 6-1, and it was in section 6, obviously, and it was on line calls, and it showed this kind of computer graphic generated ball coming across the line. It was in and out. And the first time it showed up in the diagram out, half the ball was overlapping the line. So you remember that? So a lot of
comment. Go ahead. I was going to say, I used to say I would love to know the person that can see that half of the ball going 25, 30 miles an hour on a line.
That's why we got rid of it. We got rid of that doggone diagram because too many players were saying, if the ball is overlapping the line by half, then it's obviously out.
Right, exactly.
So we didn't change anything in Rule 63. People can look it up, but that's the rule that basically says this. You give the benefit of the doubt to your opponents. Okay, that's the gist of 63. And then there's another one, 6D7, that says, when you're looking across the line, you got to see space between the ball and the line, right? So those rules never changed. Did not change from 19 to 20. But everybody thinks the rules on line calling changed because we got rid of the diagram. So here's the kind of the misunderstood part of line calls in section 6. There are different rules.
Okay.
Players and for referees and line judges. Referees and line judges, we have to be impartial, right? Both players get an equal chance of being, in or out. If you're a player, you don't get that. Your standard is you have to give anything questionable to your opponents. So here's how this plays out. So let's say you and I are playing, when you're in a doubles partnership over there, I'm over here. You hit a ball on my side of the net, Brett. By rule, everything you hit is in.
Okay.
Unless I can say with certainty it's out. So here's the kind of the questioning that I have with players all the time. all right, if I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt on this thing,
Right.
I have to assume that every ball you hit is in unless I know for certain it's out. So here's the question I ask. Okay. Everybody says that makes sense, right? That makes sense.
Right, right.
How do you know for certain that it's out?
Right.
And so as soon as you ask that question, that's when this thing kind of, oh, really? Yeah, because if you're not certain, guess what? You're guessing, you're assuming, or you're hoping that the ball is out.
Right. Right.
The only way that you know for certain that that ball is out is if you see space between the ball and the line.
That's it.
And here's the real eye opener for a lot of people is that if that's the standard, if you have to see that space and I'm right over the ball here, like you were saying,
right,
I have to assume that ball is in, so I'm playing it. Now I hope that my partner can see space and call it out, but
yes,
but I gotta play it.
Yeah.
Or I have to call it in if I don't see that space. So this is kind of probably the biggest revelation to a lot of players. But it's not, there was no rule change. That's the way it's always supposed to be for players. You give the benefit of the doubt to your opponents.
Love it.
So what it really means, Brett, in the grand scheme of things, is that oftentimes with that standard of giving the benefit of the doubt to your opponent, I'm going to be playing some out balls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was in a tournament, in a mixed doubles tournament, the gold medal match. So we had line judges. And here's the story. My partner was Petra Vernon. I'm going to mention her name because the line judge called it out and my partner overrode the line judge and says it's in. So I love the fact that we have some good sportsmanship like that in the sport.
Well, it's a great, I have a very similar story. I was at US Open last year. A colleague of mine, Gail Scavangelli, was the referee. I was one of her line judges. It was a gold medal mixed match. So this was Lucy and Matt, and it was Kyle and Simone. And the same thing happened. The line judge called it out. Matt said, no, the ball was in. Yeah. So we have a rule in the rule book now.
Yes.
I call it the Matt Wright rule, but it was written this year because of that very experience. That players can now make a call to their disadvantage, including overruling a linesman.
I think that most players in our sport today, I don't think that there's a lot of players that purposely call a ball out when they know it's in. Right. There might be disagreement. They might call it out because that's how they felt it was. They're not lying or cheating. It's just what they saw.
Right.
And that's why we have referees.
This sport has got the best overall as a group sportsmanship of any sport I've ever played. And I love it because of that. It makes it easier and more fun to be a referee because of that, because everybody wants to get the right call made at the end of the day. And we're just there to help kind of the process and know the rules to get there, basically.
I've always said that everyone that knows me has heard me say this 100 times. To me, pickleball players are the nicest people in the world.
Yeah,
they really are. And I can't tell you how many times I've been on in a tournament or on a match, and we as players are helping the referees out. Yes. Sometimes there's referees that are new, they're learning, they make a mistake, but we give them the support. The players out there, the pickleball community, we have so much appreciation and love for you referees. It's a hard job out there. So my next question is, how does one become a referee?
I could give you and your viewers an answer that would include at least 11 people. I'm going to make it very simple.
Okay.
All I have to do is send me an email. So it's all one word, two names crunched together, Mark, M-A-R-K, Pfeiffer, P-E-I-F-E-R, all together, just like it is on the screen there.
Okay.
At usapa.org. If they send me an email, I'll get them in touch with, and they got to tell me where they're from. I got to know what state they live in.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Give me the state, the name, and their email address, and I'll get you in contact with a registered USAPA trainer, and they'll take it from there, and you'll be on your way. It'll be fun. You'll have a good time.
I think that by refereeing that you will become a better player.
Absolutely.
I think it's just a natural progression. So if you are out there in the pickleball community, I urge you to reach out to Mark, become a referee, try it out. You'll find that it's fun, it's not difficult at all, and you'll make new friends. Mark, thank you so much for your education. Thank you for everything that you do for the pickleball community, and thank you for being a great referee.
Hey, Brad. Thanks a lot.
Hopefully we'll have you back.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. That was a great conversation with Mark. First of all, I want to thank everyone that hung in there today. This was our very first video. Tomorrow, we've got an exciting day planned. I've got my notes here somewhere. I've been, let me see, tomorrow will be Morgan Evans. How to accelerate your development by adding more challenges within pickleball. We got Steve Taylor, media in the pickleball world. Nicole Hobson from Professional Pickleball Registry, why you want to be an instructor, or why you want your instructor to be a certified PPR professional. We're going to be talking with Terry about ice safety, and Matt, DJ Howard. Everyone knows DJ, top professional, Gamma Pro. He's going to talk about stretching, specific stretching techniques for pickleball players, reducing injuries. We've got a lot of giveaways tomorrow. Mike Hoxie from Pig Tournaments. Pickleball is great. If you ever want to experience a great tournament, you're going to want to attend a tournament that was run by Mike Hoxie. One of my favorite players in the sport, Scott Golden. He's going to be talking about the art of the Ernie. And then Coach Matty Klein, slowing the game down from the baseline to get to the non-volley zone without peril. And then Cassandra Gerke, who became a professional pickleball player in a short period of time. She is going to be sharing with you her journey as well. So I want to thank all the pickleball players out there today, and the non-pickleball players that watched today's summit. Day one, we did it, and tomorrow will be better, and day 3 will be even better than that. And I want to thank our sponsors, VitaFlow Sports, Digital Spatula, Steve Taylor, Coachable Pickleball, Your Everything Pickleball Store. Thanks to all the sponsors and all the players that came on today. And we'll see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock.